Chapter 411. Seeing that everyone had agreed, Sima Yue discussed the name of the new force with everyone. Everyone felt that since they came from the Yilan continent, they would call it the Yilan clan. After a discussion, they decided that Sima Tai would be the family head, and the family heads of the other factions would be the elders. The family elders would still be the family elders. If anything happened, they would just have to protect the family. As for the other details, Sima Yue left it to Sima Tai and the rest to discuss among themselves. Right now, they were going to take over the Zhan family's assets. Seeing so many people enter the city at once, the city guards were a little surprised. They secretly sent someone to inform the city lord. The Mo City's city lord was originally a member of the Zhan clan. However, in this incident, both of them had been wiped out. A city lord had appeared out of nowhere in Mo City. In less than 2 days, he had taken over Mo City's forces and became the publicly acknowledged city lord. When the city lord found out that those people had gone to the Zhan residence, he didn't say anything. He only instructed them not to bother about them and not to provoke them. In less than 2 days, Yin Jinwei and Guo Siming came personally to ask about the Lin clan's establishment. When they saw the people inside and outside the clan, they were shocked. So many people. How did they get here? The two families had just taken over the Zhan family's power, and naturally needed time to digest it. Sima Yue expressed her gratitude to them for coming over at this time. She directly asked Sima Tai and the others to talk to them. Yin Jinwei and Guo Siming saw that although these people's strength wasn't high, their brains were very good. Although they had just arrived on the continent, they were very methodical in their arrangements. They only asked for advice on a few things, but most of the time, they made their own decisions. They stayed for 2 days and then returned, saying that they would send someone else to help them. Before the two of them left, Sima Yue gave them the remaining 5 divinity pills. Very quickly, the representatives from the Guo and Yun families arrived with a list of names and locations of the shops and forces that the Yilan family would be taking over. Sima Yue looked around and realized that they were all near Mo City. Those that were further away were divided between the two families. After reading it, she sighed at how meticulous the other party was. He knew that they didn't have a lot of manpower, so he gave them the closest ones so that it would be easier for them to manage in the future. A month later, the Yilan clan was officially back on track. Everything was under control, and the shops were reopened. Of course, the support of the 2 first-rate clans was indispensable. On this day, Sima Yue called Sima Tai, Patriarch Hua, and all the other peak spiritual venerables in the family over. Yue, I still have a lot of things to deal with. Why did you call us here? Sima Tai looked unhappily at a certain someone who was leisurely drinking tea in a corner of the living room. This fellow only knew how to throw things to him. She clearly could have done it faster and better, but she just didn't do it. She really didn't know how to respect her elders. When Sima Yue saw that most of the people had arrived, she poured a cup of tea for Sima Tai and said, "Of course I called you all here for something important." Although Sima Yue was the head of the family on the surface, the one who had the final say was Sima Yue. What's the matter that brought everyone here? After drinking a cup of tea, Sima Tai's anger had subsided. Sima Yue loved to see the sly old fox stomping his feet. Who asked him to set her up back then? She was someone who held grudges. With a wave of her hand, a few bottles appeared in front of everyone. Since you're all here, you should know about the deal I made with the Yin and Guo families. I used the divinity pills in exchange for our current assets. Sima Yue said. Who were Sima Tai and the others? They naturally knew about the divinity pills and the benefits it brought to the Guo and Yun families. These are the divinity pills. The head of the Hua family looked at the jade bottles excitedly. That's right. Sima Yue said. Although we have a sacred beast now, we don't have any divine-ranked people. It will be difficult for us to gain a foothold here. That's right. The head of the Sang family nodded. After coming to this continent, other than helping their families get on the right track, they spent the rest of their time understanding the situation of this continent. They already had a preliminary understanding of the rules of this world. I know that each family used to have a spirit paragon peak elder. Now that we're all one, there's no need to differentiate between you and me. These divinity pills are for you. I hope that you can use them when the time is right and create a few divine-ranked experts for us. Sima Yue said. You're really giving these divinity pills to us? The head of the Hua family said excitedly. Sima Yue nodded, saying, in the future, as long as anyone in the family reaches the Spirit Paragon Peak, they will be able to obtain a divinity pill. Head of the Hua family, this shouldn't be a problem, right? Sima Tai's eyebrows twitched, saying, you're an alchemist. If you say it's not a problem, then it's not a problem. That's good. Sima Yue took out a piece of paper and handed it over with a smile. What's this? Sima Tai took it and looked at it. He almost fainted from shock. These are the ingredients for the divinity pills? Yes and no. Sima Yue said. These are the ingredients for the divinity pills, but not all of them. I've prepared most of the ingredients myself. Only these ingredients are harder to find, so I wanted you to keep an eye out for them. If there are any, then collect them. These aren't all of them. The family heads looked at the ingredients on the paper and sucked in a breath. In the end, she said that it wasn't all of them. These ingredients aren't even half of them. Sima Yue said honestly. No wonder people outside said that the divinity pills are hard to make. Just these ingredients alone aren't easy to gather. Family head Sang said. These ingredients are one thing, but the refining method is another. So even if this divinity pill is only a 6th level pill, it's not something that anyone can refine. Sima Yue said. Haha. Our family has so many of these priceless items. Not bad, not bad. Sima Tai said with a smile. I'll ask everyone to keep an eye out for these things and collect them when they come across them. Then let's distribute these divinity pills to everyone now. I think that it won't be long before our family will have a divine-level expert to oversee it. Sima Yue said. Thank you, Yue. Everyone thought about it and called her by her name. Logically speaking, she was their junior, so it was fine for them to call her by her name. However, knowing her identity as the young Valley Master, and knowing her position in the entire family, Guo family and Yin family, they felt that they shouldn't treat her as a junior. It was a little awkward for a moment. Sima Yue smiled and said, I'll give you all the divinity pills I have now. If you need them in the future, I'll refine more. Okay. Everyone took a divinity pill each and left excitedly. Among them, there were already 2 people who were nearing the end of their lives. If they could break through to the divine level, they would be able to live for at least a few hundred years. So this was a chance to be reborn, and they had to treasure it. Yuni is looking for you. Feeling a fluctuation, Sima Yue took out the Mother-Sun Stone and Bei Gongtang's voice came from it. Chapter 412. Sima Yue went out and saw Yuni. Why are you here? She asked. I came to say goodbye to you, Yuni said. Sima Yue was stunned by the sudden news. You're going back up? Yes. Yuni nodded her head and said, I've left Divine Devil Valley for quite some time. If I don't go back, my master will probably catch me and make me face the wall. Sima Yue knew that his master was an elder in the valley and had a lot of power. Moreover, he had a weird temper. Then when will you leave? She asked. I'll leave after saying goodbye to you. Yuni looked at Sima Yue. She couldn't bear to part with her. Following the junior valley master wasn't bad, but she couldn't disobey her master's orders. Be careful, Sima Yue said. I will. Yuni nodded. Alright, wait. Sima Yue took out a jade pendant and said, Do you recognize this jade pendant? Yuni took the jade pendant and said, The shape of this jade pendant is somewhat familiar, but I'm not sure if I've seen it before. What is this? This is the jade pendant my master gave me before he left. He said that I should use this to find him in the future. Sima Yue thought of Feng Zhixing. She missed him and was worried. What's your master's name? Which family is he from? Yuni looked at the jade pendant carefully. The more she looked at it, the more familiar she felt it was. My master is Feng Zhixing. The Feng clan. Yuni thought for a while and said uncertainly, I don't know where the Feng clan is, but I remember that there are many places where we have industries with this shape. It was said that the background of those industries was very powerful, and ordinary forces did not dare to cause trouble. That's why I'm guessing they're from the inner regions. Inner circle. Sima Yue lowered her head. If Feng Zhixing was from the inner circle, Then her father, who grew up with him, should also be from the inner circle. Father, mother, if there is a need, I will inform the Valley Lord when I go up and ask the disciples in the valley to investigate. Yuni said when she saw that Sima Yue was not in a good mood. Sima Yue nodded. Okay. Before Old Man Devil left in a hurry, so she didn't think to ask about Feng Zhixing. He was experienced and knowledgeable, so he definitely knew more than Yuni. Then I'm leaving. Yuni said. Go up early. Don't forget that I'm already yours. Sima Yue was speechless. She raised her leg and kicked him. Yuni jumped to the side and dodged her attack. She took out a compass-like object, opened a passage, and walked out laughing. Yuni, just you wait. I'll teach you a lesson when I get there. Sima Yue shouted at the closed tunnel. Everyone in the courtyard stared dumbfoundedly at Sima Yue, who was jumping in rage. What did they say just now? He was her man? The two of them were talking about something like that. Could it be that they had a secret relationship? Sima Yue came back to her senses and saw everyone's strange looks. She left with a dark face and gritted her teeth as she walked away. After she left, everyone's strange looks suddenly turned into fear because someone said, "Didn't they say that the fifth young master liked men?" It was only then that everyone came to a realization. At that time, the news of Sima Yue liking beautiful men had spread like wildfire throughout the entire Dongqing kingdom. At that time, she was known as trash, man-crazy, and had a bad reputation for liking men. Over the years, she had suddenly become a genius and stopped doing those things, so everyone gradually forgot about it. Now that it was suddenly brought up, even people not from Dongqing country knew about it. Everyone suddenly felt that they were in danger. Would they do something to the fifth young master? Everyone decided to stay away from the fifth young master in the future. They didn't want him to take a fancy to them. Look at that young master Yuni. Wasn't he just too good looking? If Sima Yue knew what they were thinking, she would be so angry that she would vomit blood. She would want to find Yuni and have a good talk about life. In the days that followed, Sima Yue did her own things as usual. Although there were very few people in the courtyard, Wei Ziqi and the others realized that those people would not come here if they could. If not, they would be trembling with fear when they came here. This caused everyone to be extremely puzzled. What was wrong with these people? Especially the way they looked at them. Why were they all so strange? Later on, when they went to investigate, those people avoided their eyes but didn't say anything. Later on, Sima Yuyang told them the reason. When they heard what those people thought, Wei Ziqi and the others couldn't help but twitch their lips. It was no wonder those people looked at them strangely. They thought that since Sima Yue liked men, and they were not bad-looking and were with them every day, they thought that Sima Yue had an affair with them. Fatty Chu held to the sky. We want to have an affair with her. It's a pity that our friendship is pure. Sigh. Friendship was a phrase that Sima Yue had said. It's not good to let them misunderstand you. Bei Gongtang said. After all, we're a family. Then what should we do? Tell them that Yu is a girl? Fatty Chu's eyes were filled with red hearts. He agreed with this idea. They had never seen Sima Yue dressed as a girl before. She was so good-looking that she would definitely be so stunning in female clothes that they would drool. Sima Yue didn't take this to heart at first. However, she realized that everyone was more and more afraid of her. It even affected everyone's mood to cultivate. Even Sima Tai and the other old guys looked at her with a sense of scrutiny. Sima Yue was speechless. Finally, one day at a family gathering, she appeared in front of everyone dressed as a girl. This was the first time she had dressed as a girl after coming to this world. When she looked in the mirror after Bei Gongtang put it on, even she was stunned. Bei Gongtang looked at Sima Yue with eyes full of amazement. She had always known that Sima Yue was very beautiful. However, her skin was like cream, her teeth were like gourds, her smile was beautiful and her eyes were beautiful. So beautiful. She sighed from the bottom of her heart. Sima Yue stood up. She was dressed in a red pomegranate dress. She only used a jade hairpin to tie up her hair, leaving the rest hanging behind her. A red agate tortoiseshell was casually inserted above her left ear. Matched with her fair skin, she looked extremely beautiful. When she opened the door and walked out, everyone who was waiting outside was stunned when they saw her. The entire courtyard was silent. Even the sound of Fatty Chu swallowing his saliva could be heard. Sima Yue was not surprised by this outcome. She smiled at them and said, "Let's go. We've already been delayed for so long. If we don't go now, it'll be too late." Her voice pulled everyone back from their thoughts. Before they could say anything, Sima Yulin's voice was heard. "Why are you still?" Seeing the fiery red figure standing at the door, he was stunned as well. He forgot what he was going to say. Chapter 413. Sima Yulin stood at the entrance of the courtyard, staring at her blankly. He had fantasized about what he would look like in women's clothing, but no matter how beautiful and stunning he imagined it would be, it was not as shocking as seeing it with his own eyes. Sima Yu saw that Sima Yulin was stunned and coughed twice, asking, "What are you doing here?" That. Sima Yulin's eyes flashed with annoyance. How could he be stunned? Haha, brother Yulin is also stunned. Fatty Chu laughed. The others laughed as well. When they laughed, Sima Yulin relaxed instead, saying, "Everyone likes to see beautiful things." Sima Yue walked down from the door and said, "Are you here to call us?" "Oh, that. I'm heading over with Yu Yang and the others. I passed by here and thought I'd call you," Sima Yulin explained. "Yulin, why are you so slow?" Sima Yu Yang came in as well. When he saw Sima Yu, he was similarly stunned. Sima Yulan and Sima Yuqing, who had followed behind, were equally stunned. Sima Yuqing even cried out in surprise, "You're Yu? Why? Can't you recognize me after I changed my outfit?" Sima Yue said with a smile. "How could it be you?" Sima Yu Yang cried out. "Who would have thought that Yu would be so beautiful in female disguise? Heh. What are those two in front of you using to prop them up? Spirit fruit? It looks quite real." As he spoke, he reached out to touch the two spirit fruits. Sima Yue was speechless. Before his hand could touch the spiritual fruit, she lifted her leg and kicked him away. Fatty Chu and the rest were laughing uncontrollably at the side. Sima Yu Yang crawled up from the ground and looked at her in shock. "Yu, why did you kick me? Isn't it just two spirit fruits? Why can't I touch them?" As he spoke, he moved closer and prepared to attack again. The more she refused to let him touch her, the more he wanted to touch her. Sima Yu saw that he was still coming, and was about to kick him out of the house when Sima Yulin's body flashed in front of her. He looked at Sima Yu Yang and said, "Don't mess around." "How am I messing around? I just want to see the things in front of him." Sima Yu Yang's body flashed and went around Sima Yulin, continuing to attack Sima Yu. Yu is a girl. Sima Yulin turned around and said, "Ga." Sima Yu Yang's hand stopped when it was less than 30 centimeters away from Sima Yu. He raised his head in a daze and saw Sima Yu smiling meaningfully at him. Before he could react, he was already sent flying. Ha ha ha. Fatty Chu and the others were already laughing so hard that they couldn't breathe. This Sima Yu Yang was simply asking for a beating. Let's see how Yu will deal with him in the future. Sima Yu let go of the hem of her dress and frowned. Wearing a dress is so troublesome. So boorish. Bei Gongtang said with a smile at the door. Sima Yulan and Sima Yuqing ran over and sized up Sima Yue, saying, "Yue, why are you a girl? Aren't you a guy? How did you change into one? What happened to your this?" That's right. You usually hide it too well. I really couldn't tell at all." Sima Yu subconsciously wanted to stretch out a hand to touch Sima Yu's front, but when she thought of Sima Yu Yang who had been sent flying, she restrained herself at the last moment. "Yue, quickly tell us how you did this. When we get back, we can learn from you and pretend to be a guy," Sima Yuqing said. Sima Yu waved the ring on her hand in front of them, saying, "This. Isn't this an interspatial ring? Can this even change one's gender?" Sima Yuqing grabbed her hand and looked at the illusion ring carefully as she asked. "This is an interspatial ring." Sima Yu adjusted the gear on the illusion ring. Her clothes didn't change, but her entire person looked like a man. "Wow, so magical!" Sima Yulan cried out. "Where did you get this? Let's get a few as well. This was given to me by my senior brother. The first one was given to me by my father," Sima Yu said. "No wonder, we've never heard of this before," Sima Yuqing said with disappointment. I had no choice but to dress as a guy. It's not fun, Sima Yue said. You had no choice? Can't you not dress as a guy? Sima Yulan said regretfully. You're so pretty, but you have to dress as a guy. What a pity. My father said that it was related to my life, so I had no choice. Sima Yue said. Sima Yuqing and Sima Yulan covered their mouths in shock. It was related to her life. Could it be that she would be killed if she didn't dress as a guy? But since her father said so, it should be true. Then why are you dressed as a girl now? What will you do when you return if something happens? Sima Yulin frowned. Sima Yue's face fell, saying, Didn't you see that the guys in the clan have been looking at me with prejudice recently? It's as if I'm a pervert. Ha! Who asked you to be with Uni that day? Uni said something about me being yours. It would be strange if they didn't suspect me. And it just so happened that the people in Dongqin Kingdom remembered how you used to chase after pretty guys. Of course they're afraid of you. Sima Yuyang ran in from outside. When he heard what Sima Yue said, he couldn't help but stand there and laugh. Sima Yue threw a cold knife at him, and Sima Yuyang immediately felt as if his soul had left his body. It turned out that a beauty was so pleasing to the eye even when she was angry. All right, let's go over first. Everyone should be waiting for us, Sima Yulin said. Sima Yue nodded, and walked with everyone to an open space. This open space was inside their big house. It used to be the place where the Zhan clansmen trained their people. Now it was everyone's training ground and arena. Today was the first time that the Yilin clan held a competition for the younger generation of the clan. They wanted to test the strength of the younger generation. At the same time, they wanted to choose those who had potential to be nurtured. Because it was the first time it was held, apart from those who were outside handling business. Everyone else was present. When Sima Yue and the others arrived, the place was already filled with people. It looked like everyone else had arrived, except for the few of them. In these few months, the clan had 3 spirit paragons break through to the divine rank. This allowed the Yilin clan to gain a foothold, and they were no longer a small power without a divine rank. Sima Tai and a group of elders sat on the stage. Because Sima Yue didn't come, they didn't start. Clan leader, Yu and Elin haven't come yet. Why don't we send someone to hurry them up? The previous clan leader, who was now the great elder, said. That's good too. We can't let everyone wait for them. Sima Tai nodded. Ziyan, go take a look at them. The previous clan leader, who was now the second elder, ordered Hua Ziyan, who was beside him. Yes. Hua Ziyan stood up and prepared to leave, but he saw a commotion at the entrance of the place. Chapter 4:14. The commotion at the entrance naturally attracted the attention of others. Sima Tai and a group of elders heard the sounds of shock and suspicion growing louder and louder. They saw that those people had stood up and many people were blocking the entrance. The entire entrance was in chaos. What's going on over there? Sima Tai furrowed his eyebrows and asked. They were too unruly. How could they block the entrance and cause a ruckus? What was going on over there? It seems like someone came in. Hua Ziyan said after watching for a while. What's the commotion about someone coming in? The Li family head, now the third elder, said with a dark expression. It seems like Brother Yulin and the others are here. Hua Ziyan said when he saw Sima Yulin squeezing out of the crowd. I heard you use voice. It seems like they were surrounded when they came in. Sima Lin said. Aren't those people afraid of Yu? Why are they surrounding them now that they've come in? Aren't they afraid that she'll take a liking to them? Elder Hua said with a smile. At the same time, he gestured for Hua Ziyan to sit down. Since they were already here, there was no need for him to rush them. That's... Elder Sang saw that the crowd at the entrance had automatically moved to the sides and opened up a path for Sima Yulin and the others to walk in. Their eyes naturally fell on a red figure in the middle. That appearance, that aura, who else could it be but Sima Yu? But that was really a lady in a red dress. Are my eyes playing tricks on me? The others saw a beautiful lady walk in and cried out excitedly. Why does that person look so much like Yu? That's Yu, right? How is that possible? Yu is a guy, but that's a beauty. Don't tell me you can't even differentiate between a guy and a girl? Exactly. How could it be the same person? But they really look alike. Have you heard that she has a twin brother and sister? No. F***ck, are they really the same person? It doesn't matter if they're the same person. The most important thing is that such a beautiful lady. Can we chase after her? If she really is you, do you have the right to fight for her? And no. That's it. But it's good to look. When Sima Yue heard their words and saw how excited they were, she had the urge to go back and change back into her male outfit. She and Sima Yue came before Sima Tai and the rest and bowed. Are you really Yue? Hua Zijiao blurted out when she saw Sima Yue. Family head. Sima Yue did not answer her, but called out to Sima Tai. Sima Tai was shocked as well. He never thought that the little fox in front of him was actually a girl. He looked at Sima Lai, Sima Yuming and the others and was not surprised. It seemed like they knew. However, the people from the Dongchen kingdom were also very surprised. In other words, other than the members of the Sima family, no one else knew that Sima Yue was a girl. I didn't expect you to be a woman. He sighed. Look at the commotion you've caused. Everyone in the venue is going crazy. Sima Yue looked helplessly at Sima Tai. I didn't want to either. But if I don't clarify things, everyone will think that I'm a poisonous snake. She's actually a girl. Sang Qiongli looked at Sima Yue and could not hide the shock in his eyes. The man next to Sang Qiongli had an infatuated look on his face as he said, she's beautiful, her cultivation is high, she knows alchemy, she can tame beasts, she knows how to set up arrays, and she's a great cook. She's simply my goddess. Many people nodded. That's right, that's right. She was perfect. Sima Tai looked at the lively venue and said, you caused it. You deal with it. Okay. Sima Yue nodded and turned around to fly to the stage. She raised her hand and the whole place quieted down. This was not only because of her beauty, but also because of her prestige in the family. Although everyone was afraid of her, they understood that without her, they would still be in the Yilin continent. Without her, they would not be able to live in such a good environment. Yue, are you really a girl? Someone dared to ask the question in everyone's heart. Sima Yue smiled, saying, I'm the real deal. Ah! You're really a girl. Heavens, it's really her. My male god is gone. A girl's heart was broken. Sima Yue raised her hand again to silence everyone. She waited for the venue to quiet down before continuing. As everyone can see, I'm a real girl. Because I had no choice, I had to disguise myself as a man. Today, I'm letting everyone know that I'm a girl because recently, there have been many rumors that I might, do that. Today, I'm here to clarify that I have no intention of doing anything to you. Everyone can cultivate in peace. Don't worry about me doing anything to you. She was very reserved, but everyone knew what she meant. The girls all laughed, while the guys all looked disappointed. They were all hoping that she would do something to them. All of them wanted to stick to her. I hope that everyone can stay in this venue and keep the fact that I'm a girl. If anyone were to spread this outside, don't blame me for not warning you beforehand. Sima Yue looked down at the world with disdain, shocking everyone in the venue. Although they didn't know what kind of trouble it would bring her, everyone promised that they wouldn't tell anyone about her identity. What a joke. She was their lucky star. Without her, the Yilin clan would fall. All right, let's start today's official business. Where's the MC? Sima Yue looked below the stage and asked. A middle-aged man walked up and cupped his hands towards Sima Yue. Fifth young master, I'm today's MC. Oh, you can start then. Sima Yue nodded towards him and walked down the stage. Cough cough, I'll be the MC for today's matters. The MC cleared his throat and began to speak. Sima Yue walked over to Sima Lai and sat down beside them. Seeing her sister in a long dress, her brothers were also stunned. Who would have thought that our fifth brother would turn into a fifth sister so beautiful? Sima Yue said with a smile. Fifth brother is actually laughing at me. Sima Yue glared at Sima Yue. Sima Lai looked at Sima Yue worriedly, saying, Yue, at that time, your father said not to let anyone know that you're a girl. Now that you're acting like this, won't it attract trouble? Grandfather, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Sima Yue said. As long as I don't go up there, With the Snow Wolf clan and the Saber-Toothed Tiger clan around, nobody will be able to do anything to me. Once I go up, not many people will know that I'm a girl. It's good that you know, Sima Lai said. Sima Yue touched the interspatial ring on her hand. Father said that this was something that belonged to the clan, and had been given to her along with the illusion ring. Father, why did you have to make me dress up as a boy? Chapter 4:15. Sima Yue didn't go down even though the purpose of this competition was to test the strength of the youngsters. No one objected to this because her strength was obvious to all. Sima Yue frowned as she sat on the spectator stand and watched the youngsters display their strength. It wasn't enough. Such strength would hinder the development of the family in the future. At the very least, a few geniuses had to come out. She thought about it and decided that the best way was to refine the 100 Revolutions pill. Fortunately, she had long thought that the golden snake fruit would be very useful, so she had always insisted on watering it with soul fluid all these years. This also allowed Little Spirit to speed up the time there, and in these few years, it had already ripened 3 times. Other than the first time he had used one when he found Sima Lai and the others, there were still 20 golden snake fruits in his spirit pagoda. There were still 7 unripe ones hanging on the tree. With her current level of alchemy, if she were to refine 100 Revolutions pills again, she would definitely be able to refine more pills than before. The conference was held for 3 days. She had originally planned to attend for only 1 day, but she had watched the entire process for all 3 days. She had selected some talented people. There were a total of 20 golden snake fruits. She wanted to leave 2 behind just in case. If one person refined 10, there would only be 180 at most. Including the remaining 6 from before, she could only give 93 people at most. Therefore, these 93 people had to be the best among these people. In the future, they would have to shoulder the heavy responsibility of the family. Not long after the 3 days conference ended, she went to look for Sima Tai. Ever since the clan was on the right track, they had focused all their energy on cultivation. In order not to delay the clan's affairs, the patriarch and elders were always together. When there was something to discuss, they would discuss it. When there was nothing to do, everyone would cultivate on their own. If anyone felt that they had reached a critical moment, they could leave alone to avoid being disturbed. However, after listening to Sima Yue's suggestion, they decided to distribute the tasks so that they could have more time to cultivate. When Sima Yue arrived, everyone was there. Seeing that she had arrived, everyone stopped cultivating and looked at her from their seats. What's the matter? Sima Tai understood her temperament. She would never look for them if there was nothing. Sima Yue found a place to sit down and said, "Let me ask you who you have chosen. Why do you care about these things?" Sima Tai was curious. This girl didn't care about these things in the past. This lass was dressed as a man again. Other than that day when she wore women's clothes and stunned everyone, she had changed back to men's clothes. Sima Yue automatically ignored his scrutinizing gaze and said, "It's because those people from 2 days ago were too weak, so I thought of a way to improve their strength." "What idea do you have?" Sima Tai's eyes lit up. Although she didn't care about the family matters, every time she had an idea, it would definitely be very useful. "Do you know about the 100 Revolutions pill?" Sima Yue asked. "How could I not know?" At that time, the Xianyuan Pavilion of the West Moon Kingdom sold the 100 Revolutions pill for a sky-high price, and the entire Yilin continent knew about it. The Li family elder said. At that time they even sent people to investigate, but unfortunately, they didn't find anything. "Could it be that your method is to find the 100 Revolutions pill?" Patriarch Hua asked. It said that the people of the Xianyuan Pavilion kept this matter a secret, so it's not easy to find the 100 Revolutions pill. The Sang family had added. Only Sima Tai stared at her and said excitedly, "That person was you, right?" The moment he said that, the other 3 patriarchs were stunned. "That's right." Sima Yue nodded in agreement. The 4 of them were shocked, but they quickly calmed down. This girl even had the divinity pill, so it wasn't strange for her to have the 100 Revolutions pill. But when they thought about it, she had just left the Dongqin country, and she already had the 100 Revolutions pill. "You little brat. Why didn't you say that you had the 100 revolutions pill earlier? Sima Tai glared at her fiercely. Of course, this didn't have any killing power. What's the point of saying it back then? I didn't even have the ingredients, so even if I said it, it would only be a dream. Sima Yue glared back. You have the ingredients now? Sima Tai's eyes lit up. Yes, I've accumulated some over the past few years. Sima Yue said. How many can you refine? I finished refining 2 days ago. Now I have 186 pills, 2 pills per person for 93 people. Sima Yue said. You've already finished refining? Everyone sucked in a breath. With so many 100 revolutions pills, they could improve the physiques of 93 people and nurture 93 people. One genius could change the future of a clan, much less 93. Yes. Sima Yue replied. I took a look the other day, and there are 4 or 5 children whose talents are not bad. They are still young, so the 100 revolutions pill will have a great effect on them. They will definitely have great achievements in the future. There are also a few spirit paragons who are still young, and if they take it, they should be able to reach the divine rank earlier. Adding up to about 15 people, the rest will be given to the youngsters. That's why I'm here to ask you. Have the people you want to nurture been chosen? They have been chosen, and there are a total of more than 100 of them. Sima Tai said. 110, which was slightly more than she had expected. There are quite a lot of people, so we can only give 70 people this time. Sima Yue said. Then we'll arrange it according to our previous ranking. Elder Hu said. That's fine too. Elder Sang and Elder Li agreed. Since you have a ranking, then there's no problem. Sima Yue took out a dozen jade bottles and said, they're all here, you can arrange them yourselves. The people I've chosen are. She listed out the 15 people she had chosen, and Sima Tai noted them down one by one. The other 3 elders were also satisfied, because Sima Yue listed out people from every clan, and there was no discrimination. It was all based on talent. Yue, can you tell me about the 100 revolutions pills recipe? Elder Li asked. He had been thinking about the recipe for a long time. I can tell you, but it's useless even if you have it, because you don't have the most important ingredient, the golden snake fruit. Sima Yue said. This was also the reason why she had sold the recipe to Xian Yuan Pavilion. If she gave it to you, you would only have a piece of scrap paper. It's still better than nothing. Elder Li said. All right then. I'll write it down for you. Sima Yue said as she took out a brush and ink, and wrote down the recipe. When she was writing down the recipe, she suddenly remembered that the Li clan was a family of alchemists, and was now a part of the Yilin clan. It could be said that they had the most alchemists in the clan. If they were properly nurtured, the clan would definitely develop better in the future. Hence, she decided to take out all the recipes she had, and guide those alchemists when she had the time. In the future, a group of alchemists would be able to refine high-grade pills, and their clan's development would be limitless. Thinking of this, she happily squinted her eyes. Chapter 416. Sima Tai saw Sima Yue's expression and knew that she had her own thoughts. However, he did not ask further. If this method worked, she would say it herself. If it wasn't feasible, she wouldn't say anything even if he asked. She seemed to be a little cold and indifferent towards the matters of the family, but as long as she had her approval, she would do her best to help the family. Therefore, when she first came to the Sima family, although she didn't care about the family's affairs, she didn't think about the family's future. Even if she had the 100 revolutions pill, she didn't mention it to the family. Now that she had experienced so much with everyone and recognized this family, she would think about how to improve the talent of the young people, because the young people were the future of the family. Sima Yue wrote down the 100 revolution pills recipe and handed it over to Elder Li. She asked, how many alchemists does our family have? Elder Li didn't know why Sima Yue was asking this, but he still suppressed his excitement and said, my Li clan has sent 300 people. Among them, there are 178 alchemists. Adding those from other clans, we have a total of 235 people. Over 200 alchemists. Even the Yin and Gua families didn't have that many alchemists. What about its grade? Sima Yue asked. 3 rank 6, 10 rank 5, 30 rank 4, 70 rank 3, and the rest are rank 1 and rank 2, elderly replied. Sima Yue rubbed his chin. It seemed like this family was really powerful. They had quite a number of alchemists and beast tamers. What they were lacking in was their overall cultivation. However, she wasn't too worried. Their starting point was low and they were being suppressed. As time passed, this problem wouldn't be a problem. I have some pill recipes with me. I'll organize them and give you all a copy. I'll also give you some of my experience in alchemy and what my master told me. I'll organize them all and write them into a book for everyone to study in the future. Sima Yue said. Really? The elders were all excited. As long as everyone is united in the future, we will naturally share the benefits. Sima Yue said. We all came from the same place, so our feelings are naturally different. Elder He said. They had thought of leaving the Sima family before, but after comparison, they felt that it was better to follow them. Moreover, the Sima family didn't treat them as accessories and treated everyone the same. That would be for the best. Sima Yue said. Otherwise, I'll naturally have a way to take back what I've given out. If everyone can support each other in the future, I'll also have other good things to give you all. The 3 elders smiled bitterly in their hearts. This girl really gave them a stick as a reward, not a single one less. We all understand. Elder Sang said. Sima Yue asked. Yue asked Yue. Yue and Yue. Yue. Elder Yue Yaon. Usually, the reason why beast tamers want to level up is because their spiritual strength can't keep up. If we can increase their spiritual strength, their taming level will naturally increase. Sima Yue said. I'll go back and sort out the methods to increase spiritual strength. And this method can be used by both weapon refiners and alchemists. Increasing their mental strength can also increase their grade. Oh right, I still have some books on smithing. They're all from the ancient era. Fatty said that they're not bad. I'll organize them later and bring them over. Also, I have a method of taming beasts. If everyone follows that method when taming beasts, the tamed beasts will advance in rank after contracting with them. We'll do this together later. And, this time it wasn't just the 3 elders, even Sima Tai couldn't remain calm. The 4 of them looked at the conditions that she said, and their brains forgot to think. How many treasures did this guy have? No wonder he had such a monstrous talent. He had so many good things. The Sima family actually had so many treasures, much more than the other families. The 3 of them looked at Sima Tai sourly, but when they saw that his expression was the same as theirs, they felt better. So these things didn't belong to the Sima family. Although their hearts felt better, but they were even more suspicious. Her things weren't given by the Sima family, so where did she get them from? Was it her father? Or was it the Divine Devil Valley? I can't do anything about that array. I'm lacking in resources myself. Sima Yue thought that this was all she could do, so she looked at them and said. In the end, she was shocked by their fiery gazes and said, What's wrong with you guys? Cough cough, nothing. Sima Tai coughed twice and said, We'll distribute the 100 revolutions pills according to what you said. And, you can go back and tidy up your things. Sima Yue nodded. She knew that what she said would shock them, but she had no choice. With her current strength, she would be able to go up in a few years. The Snow Wolf clan and the Saber-Toothed Tiger clan would follow her up. If she took them away, the Sima family would not be able to develop. Even with the Gua and Yin clans' protection, it would not be a good idea in the long run. Thus, she could only try her best to develop her clan while she was here. Luckily, they were the first-ranked powers of the Yilin continent. Their starting point was not bad. It would not be hard to develop as long as there was a way. So if they were shocked, then so be it. After all, these old fellows were not made of paper. They should be able to digest it quickly. Thinking of this, she left, leaving the 4 of them to slowly digest it. The 4 of them each picked up a jade bottle. Inside, there were more than 1,000 revolutions pills. Elderly looked at the golden pill, and was so excited that tears almost fell from his eyes. This is it, this is it. It really is the 100 revolutions pill. It's just like the legends say. Since Yue has already arranged everything, Then we'll follow her instructions and let the children take the pills to cleanse their muscles and marrow. The Sang clan head was more calm, but he was also very excited. The earlier they take it, the better, the Hua clan head said. Then let's let the children Yue chose come first, Sima Tai said. Okay. Sima Yue returned to her courtyard. Not long after she walked out of the main courtyard, she saw a certain someone waiting for her at the entrance with a dark expression. Senior brother, why are you here? She automatically ignored his stinky face. Wu Lingyu only looked at her without saying anything. His expression was angry and aggrieved. Aggrieved? How could he be aggrieved? Sima Yue looked carefully. She did not see wrongly. It was indeed aggrieved. But what was this guy aggrieved about? Senior, does master not want you anymore? She guessed. Wu Lingyu's expression turned even darker when he heard this. This girl knew that he was angry, but she still dared to say this. Chapter 417. Wu Lingyu remained silent and just looked at her. Sima Yue could not be bothered with him. She wanted to go around him and tidy up the books and documents in the courtyard. However, when she walked past him, he grabbed her arm. Before she could say anything, he grabbed her waist and lifted her into the air. Wu Lingyu, what are you doing? She didn't expect him to take her away from her family in public. The people in the family heard her roar and looked up to see her being taken away by a man. Oh no, Yue has been kidnapped. Let's go save her. Where is he? Those people only called out twice, but when they were in the air, they could no longer see them. That's right. I just flew out. How did it disappear? Which direction did they fly to? Bei Gongtang came out of the room and saw that the sky was filled with people. She said, "It's fine. You can all come back." Yue? She'll be fine. She promised to come back on her own. With that, she returned to her room. Those people looked at each other. They didn't even know where she had gone. How could they chase after her? He could only listen to her and come down. However, they were still worried. Yue seemed to have been taken away by a man. Would she be all right? Sima Yue was grabbed by Wu Lingyu and flew out of Mo City in the blink of an eye. It seemed like his strength had increased a lot recently. Hey, where are you going to take me? She helplessly roared when she saw him pulling a long face and flying aimlessly. Wu Lingyu lowered her head and glanced at her. She remained silent and continued to fly forward. Sima Yue glared at him fiercely. With a thought, she disappeared from his arms and appeared 3 meters away. Wu Lingyu did not expect Sima Yue to do this and said, "You know how to teleport?" Humph. Sima Yue did not answer him. She turned her head to the side and refused to look at him. Teleportation wasn't something that just anyone could do. One had to have a high understanding of space and accurately find the connection between 2 points in space in order to be able to teleport. Teleportation relied on one's will, but for Old Man Devil and the others to open a spatial tunnel, it was a display of their strength. Wu Lingyu didn't think that Sima Yue's understanding of space had already reached the point where she could teleport. Although she could only teleport a few meters now, the most difficult part was getting started. Since she had already gotten started, her improvement would definitely be fast. Seeing that she had turned her face away from him, the anger in his heart rose. He wanted to vent his anger on her, but he suddenly fell from the sky. At first, Sima Yue thought he was faking it. However, when she saw him falling like a puppet with its strings cut, she frowned and quickly chased after him. She caught him before he landed on the ground. Then, she held his hand with one hand and his waist with the other. She brought him down slowly. She felt that he had really fainted, and his breathing was very unstable, so she checked on him. Oh no! She placed his body on the grass and fed him a pill. Then, she sat beside him and waited for him to wake up. "You're still not coming out?" She suddenly spoke, but there was no one around her. "I'm talking about you. You're the guy in Wu Lingyu's body." She saw him appear and said. A ray of light flashed and Fire Qilin appeared in front of Sima Yue. "You can come out by yourself." Sima Yue looked at Fire Qilin and said, "If I didn't save him just now, you wouldn't have let him fall to his death, right?" Fire Qilin looked at Sima Yue. It really didn't understand why this guy was so angry because of her. In the end, his soul couldn't take the emotional fluctuations, and this happened again. However, this was different from when he was in a coma. He could freely enter and exit his body now, unlike when he was in the Puluo Mountains. What's wrong with your master? Sima Yue asked. Is he injured up there? Fire Qilin didn't understand why Sima Yue asked this, but he still answered honestly, no. Why? No. Sima Yue frowned. Was it because he had been separated from Mo Sha for too long? Why do you ask this? Fire Qilin didn't understand. His coma this time was caused by his soul being unstable. If he wasn't injured, why would he be in a coma? Sima Yue said. Fire Qilin looked at this slow person, and felt that it was unfair for his master. His master was thinking so much up there, but she didn't know at all. You want to know why his soul is so stable? Fire Qilin looked at her faintly. Sima Yue felt a little creeped out by Fire Qilin's gaze. She subconsciously wanted him to stop talking, as if saying it would change things. However, Fire Qilin decided to fight for his master and said, because his soul is already weak. It's not because he's injured, but because he hasn't eaten soul fluid for a long time. Didn't my master bring him soul fluid? Sima Yue didn't understand. But he doesn't know. It's because he's trapped. For you, Fire Qilin said. For me? Sima Yue was even more confused. How could this guy be trapped because of her? Yes, because of you. Fire Qilin said angrily. It's because those people in the valley said that you lacked array books. So he thought of ways to find array books for you everywhere. Last time, he heard that there was a lost array book in a cemetery, so he went to get it for you. In the end, he was trapped in the array for more than a year, and only came out a few days ago. His soul fluid has already been consumed, because he only got the news a few days before he came to find you. Sima Yue's expression changed and she cried out. He hasn't eaten soul fluid for more than a year. That's right. Fire Qilin saw her expression and felt a little better. He continued. After he came out of the array, he immediately rushed over, but when he heard that you've changed into female clothing, he was a little angry. After that, his soul couldn't take it anymore and he fainted. Since he knew that it was the array master's goal, there would definitely be an array to protect it. Why did he still go? Sima Yue said angrily. And he hasn't eaten soul fluid for so long. Doesn't he know that he should return to the Divine Devil Valley first? He's really taking his life as a joke. Because he likes you, and he's been thinking about you ever since he came back from Puluo Mountain Range. Fire Qilin said. Although I'm his contracted beast, I don't understand why he likes a girl like you. Although your innate talent is not bad, it's much worse than those women above. Alright, I've said what I need to say. Since he became like this because of you, you should take good care of him. After he finished speaking, he flashed back into the contracted space. Sima Yu's anger disappeared the moment she heard him say that he liked her. After Fire Qilin left, she looked at the unconscious person beside her with a complicated expression. Chapter 418. He liked her? Or did it start a few years ago? Why did she feel that the Fire Qilin's words couldn't be trusted? Come to think of it, the two of them had only met a few times, right? How could this guy like her? Furthermore, at that time, she should have been even more insignificant than dust to him. She shouldn't have been able to enter his heart at all. For more interesting articles, please visit. However, she also felt that the Fire Qilin wouldn't joke about this matter. Moreover, his soul was indeed very weak. Otherwise, he wouldn't have become like this just because of a little anger. She thought that he was injured on the surface, but she didn't expect that it was because he was trapped and didn't take the soul fluid in time. Sigh. She let out a long sigh. She had lived for so long, and it seemed that this was the first time someone had said that they liked her. Moreover, it was from a contract beast. Based on his personality, if he didn't find out, he probably wouldn't say anything. However, he had never been sensitive to this. He had lived for so long, but he had never been in a relationship. Really, if Master finds out that you did such a thing for your own life, will he skin you alive? She reached out to poke Wu Lingyu's face. His devilish face was deathly pale. Sigh. Thinking of the Fire Qilin's words, she sighed again. She had never dealt with something like this before. How was she going to face him when he woke up? In his previous life, All the love he had was either rejected or they ended up together. How should he choose? Reject him? But he didn't confess to her personally. Accept his kindness? It seemed that he was unwilling. This thing is really a complicated thing. She rubbed her head and glared fiercely at Wu Lingyu. Seeing that his face was even more conflicted, she simply stopped looking. Why don't we just pretend that we don't know? Anyway, since this guy didn't say anything, I'll just pretend I don't know. She finally made this decision and muttered to herself as she looked at the distant sunset. I like you. Just as she finished speaking, Wu Lingyu's voice suddenly came from behind her. Ah! She jumped up in fright and stood a meter away, looking at the guy who had suddenly woken up. When did you wake up? She stuttered for the first time. Ever since you were mumbling about pretending to be a fool. Although Wu Lingyu had woken up, her voice was still very soft, which meant that she was still very weak. Why didn't you tell me that you were awake? Sima Yue glared at him. How would I know what you think if I told you? Wu Lingyu said. If I tell you now, I like you, what about you? Me? I what? Sima Yue was stunned. When Wu Lingyu saw Sima Yue's reaction, he could not help but break out in a cold sweat. This girl is really... If one were to say that her EQ was low, her EQ was quite high when it came to family and friendship, but when it came to love, she had a feeling that she was not enlightened. But seeing her like this, the anger in his heart that she was wearing female clothing instantly disappeared. She was so slow when it came to love. How could she fall in love with someone else? You what? This prince has already said that he likes you. Why don't you express it? He sat up from the ground. Express? Sima Yue blinked and understood what he meant. She thought for a while and rejected him directly. I don't like you. The faint hope in Wu Lingyu's eyes was extinguished. This girl really did not like him. You have someone you like? Sima Yue shook her head. Since you don't have anyone you like, then like this prince. Wu Lingyu looked at her, his eyes full of sincerity. Ah. Sima Yue looked at him. She liked him because she did not have anyone she liked? What kind of logic was this? What do you think? He was very satisfied with his suggestion. Sima Yue glanced at him and said indifferently, You wish. My heart belongs to me. I will not like you just because I don't have anyone I like. How is your body now? You are a doctor. Why don't you come and take a look at me? As he spoke, he seemed to be exhausted and fell down again. It was fine if this girl did not accept him now. Anyway, she was not enlightened yet. He had plenty of time to open her heart. Sima Yue hesitated for a moment. Seeing his pale face, she walked over, squatted down, and grabbed his hand to examine him. You are really too much. You clearly did not have any soul fluid on you. But you still dared to do such a dangerous thing. Do you really want to die? After examining his body, she thought of Fire Qilint's words and became angry. She opened her mouth to scold him. Wu Lingyu was not angry. Instead, the corner of his mouth curled up into a faint smile. If she was angry, it meant that he was still important in her heart. If it was someone she did not care about, even if he died, she would not bat an eyelid. Who am I? Since I dared to go, I naturally knew that I would be fine, he said with a smile. Sima Yue's face darkened when she saw the smile on his face. She directly pushed him backwards, and he fell onto the grass again without any warning. Are you trying to push me? Although my body is not good now, if you want I can do it. He lay on the ground, looking like he was at her mercy. Hooligan. A super big hoodlum with a holy appearance. I really don't know how someone like you could be chosen by the Sage Pavilion's pavilion master to become the Holy Sun. Sima Yue really wanted to step on him. He is only interested in my body. As long as I put up a front in front of others, he will not care about what I do at other times. Wu Lingyu said lightly. Sima Yue was keenly aware of the sarcasm in his words, as well as the part about wanting his body. She furrowed her eyebrows, saying, What do you mean? What I mean? Wu Lingyu placed his hands behind his head and looked at the sky that was dyed red by the setting sun. No one knew what he was thinking, what he meant. Sima Yue frowned even more. Looking at Wu Lingyu, she felt that she could not understand him. She saw that he was really lying down and did not move. She also sat down and watched the setting sun slowly set. After coming to this world for so many years, she had never seen the sunset properly. She had been rushing forward and had forgotten the scenery along the way. Yue, I will accompany you to watch the sunset in the future, okay? Wu Lingyu suddenly said emotionally. Sima Yue used her hands to support herself. Hearing Wu Lingyu's words, she turned her head to look at him. Seeing the seriousness in his eyes, her heart suddenly skipped a beat. However, she immediately turned her head and looked at the setting sun, saying, "Not just anyone can accompany me to watch the sunset. Not just anyone can live in my heart." Because once that person entered, she would not allow that person to leave. Otherwise, no matter who that person was, she would do everything in her power to destroy them. Grandfather isn't someone who would casually accompany him to watch the sunset, and not everyone would want to move in. Wu Lingyu said in a joking manner. Grandfather isn't a fickle person. Sima Yue thought of a sentence from her previous life. She glanced at him and said, "You are not a fickle person. When you are fickle, you are not human, right?" Chapter 419. Wu Lingyu's mouth twitched when he heard Sima Yue's words. Was he the kind of person who was inhumane when he was unfaithful? This girl. I'm hungry. I want to eat porridge. He didn't want to bicker with this little girl. Cultivators would also feel hungry? Who are you trying to fool? However, she still asked, "What kind of porridge do you want?" "The kind that you endured for the first time in Puluo mountain range," Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him and stopped looking at him. She found a flat area and took out all the tools. Then she started to cook porridge and stir-fry vegetables. She had long forgotten what porridge she had made back then. She was overthinking things by asking her to make it now. Now that his body was so weak, how could he eat anything casually? Therefore, the porridge and dishes she cooked were all beneficial to his body. As soon as Wu Lingyu smelled the aroma, he knew that it wasn't the one she made back then. However, he was actually just casually saying it. As long as it was made by her, any flavor was fine. He turned over and laid on his side, supporting his head with his hand as he quietly watched her busy figure. She was full of vigor, but every time he saw her, he felt very calm inside. He remembered that when he was very young, there was once when he was brought to a continent by the Sage Pavilion's pavilion master. He saw an old couple who couldn't cultivate, and their hair had already turned white at the age of 10. He could feel the fluctuation of spiritual power on the man's body, but not on the woman's body. He guessed that he had given up on cultivation for her, and wanted to grow old with her. At that time he didn't understand and asked the old man, "Why did you give up your cultivation for her?" At that time, the old man had answered him, "People always have a pursuit in life. Some pursue the highest realm, some pursue money, and some pursue power. As for me, I'm only greedy for the warmth of being with her." Just because of this, he gave up everything? The old man saw the confusion in his eyes and said with a smile, "If one day you can forget the hustle and bustle of the mortal world when you are beside a girl, and feel the peace in the depths of your soul, you will understand what I mean." Later on, he met many different kinds of women. Some were fresh and elegant. Some were enchanting and charming. Some were pure and cute, and some were intelligent and quick-witted. However, none of them gave him the feeling that the old man had described. Later on, the more women he met, the more he doubted the old man's words. Was there really a woman who could calm his soul? No, there would never be such a woman. But he had never thought that he would meet her in such a lowly place like the Yilin continent, when she was only in her teens. She had a face that had yet to fully mature, stubborn eyes that refused to admit defeat, and the vicissitudes of life in the depths of her eyes that did not belong to her age. She was clearly not a simple and elegant person, but she really made him feel the tranquility of time. After living together for more than 10 days, she had walked into his heart, his life force. Sima Yue felt his gaze and said without raising her head, "Don't you feel hungry looking at me?" "Seeing you makes me hungrier," Wu Lingyu said with a smile. Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him, too lazy to talk to him. She realized that after this rascal said that he liked her, his words became frivolous. In the past, she only thought that he was evil, but she did not expect that other than that, he was also a hooligan. When the dishes were done, she took out the table and placed the dishes on it. Then, she went to look at the porridge. When she turned back, she saw this rascal quietly sitting at the table. His movements were nimble. How did it look like his soul was weak? She saw that the porridge was almost done, and scooped a bowl for the two of them. She placed a bowl in front of him, and took a bowl for herself and sat opposite him. Senior, aren't you the holy son of the temple? You went missing for so long. Did the temple not look for you? Wu Lingyu took a spoon and gently scooped a spoonful of porridge. He blew on it and drank it gracefully, then said, That old man doesn't care if I live or die, and my life jade is fine. Naturally, he wouldn't care about me. Sima Yue was suspicious and said, What did you mean when you said that the old man wanted your body? Does master know? Wu Lingyu put down his spoon and looked at Sima Yue. Seeing the persistence in her eyes, he said, He asked me to go to the sage pavilion because he wanted my body. Because my soul was not complete, he took the opportunity to destroy my soul and take over my body, turning me into him. He's giving me so much power now because he's planning for his future power. Sima Yue was shocked and said, Since you know, why don't you leave the sage pavilion? The Divine Devil Valley has the power to go against the sage pavilion. If you go back, he won't dare to do anything to you. I naturally have my own plans if I don't go back. Wu Lingyu said, Do you think he can scheme against me just because he wants to? His words were calm, but Sima Yue could hear the hatred and absolute confidence in him. Then you have to know your limits. Don't go for wool and come home shorn. She did not say much. Does master know? He doesn't. If he knew, he would be so angry that he would stomp his feet. He has always disapproved of me going to the sage pavilion. I was the one who insisted. Wu Lingyu said, So you have to keep it a secret for me. Although she did not know why he insisted, she knew that he should know what he was doing. You want me to keep it a secret? Sure, I'll pay you. She reached out her hand to him with a shameless expression. Wu Lingyu smiled and took out a pile of books, stacking them on the table. Is this enough? Sima Yue looked at the pile of books and was stunned. Then she roughly looked through them. Most of them were array books, and some were rare alchemy and weapon refining books. Fire Qilin said that he knew that she lacked array books, so he went around collecting them for her. These should be the books that he collected during this period of time. She kept all the books into her spatial ring and said, It's barely enough. What if I add this book? Wu Lingyu took out another book and placed it in front of her. That yellowed page with a chipped corner was obviously from a very long time ago. This is the book you got when you were trapped? She asked. Yes, Wu Lingyu said. It's rumored that this is the tomb of the founder of the Array sect. However, this Array sect has not appeared in the world for 10,000 years. No one knows if it's still around. There's no way to verify whether this is the tomb of the founder. Sima Yue picked up the book and took a look. The moment she flipped it open, she was attracted to the contents. It seemed to cover all the arrays, and there were many lost arrays that Feng Zhixing had mentioned. There was a detailed explanation of each type of array formation, as well as some insights on the understanding of space. Every page was a huge treasure to the current array master. Wu Lingyu saw that her eyes were shining, and her face was full of smiles. He could not help but smile. Now he truly understood what the old man had said. Her smile was his greatest satisfaction. Chapter 420. But soon, Wu Lingyu's smile disappeared. Following that, his aura slowly turned cold and incomparably bitter. Ever since she opened the book, she hadn't raised her head even once. She didn't even look at him. He glared at her. Finally, a certain someone couldn't take it anymore. She looked up and said, Aren't you hungry? Why are you staring at me instead of eating? Wu Lingyu regretted giving her this, and wanted to snatch it back. You don't even look at me anymore, he complained. Is it better looking or am I better looking? Sima Yue could not help but roll her eyes. How could he compare himself to a book? It looks better than you, she answered honestly. Is it as good looking as me? Wu Lingyu's tone turned cold. She looked at the book as if she was looking at an enemy. Sima Yue glanced at him and kept the book in case he tore it. Are you still eating or not? If not, I'm going to pack up. Eat, why wouldn't I? I'm not full yet. Wu Lingyu saw her put away the book and continued to eat the porridge with satisfaction. After finishing the porridge, he asked Sima Yue to set up a tent for him and prepare a bed for him to rest on. Sima Yue wanted to say no, but seeing how weak he was, she went along with it. Just treat him like a little kid, like little too. He set up a tent, arranged a bed, and helped him up to rest. Then he prepared to leave and continue reading his book. However, a certain someone obviously didn't want her to leave. One moment he wanted her to do this and the next moment, he wanted her to do that. He just wouldn't let her go. In the end, she couldn't help but flip out. Wu Lingyu, if you don't behave yourself, I'll leave you here and go back by myself. She had always thought that he was injured because of her, so she had always been patient with his requests. She didn't expect that this guy would open a dye house after giving him some face. When Wu Lingyu saw that Sima Yue was about to explode, she put away her little thoughts and said, I won't ask you to do anything. Just read on the soft couch. Sima Yue rolled her eyes at him and sat down on the couch. She took out a book on array formations and started reading. Wu Lingyu saw that she was reading quietly and stopped teasing her. He sat cross-legged on the bed to repair his soul. Although he had taken Sima Yue's pills and a drop of soul fluid, his soul was still rather weak. It was time to recuperate. Thus, one of them sat on the bed to cultivate, while the other sat on the soft couch to read. They were quiet and did not disturb each other. He stayed there for 10 days. In these 10 days, the Sima family had thought of looking for Sima Yu, but they had no idea where she was. Sima Yulin, who knew where she was, pondered for a while before keeping the jade stone away. She could have resisted when she was taken away, but she just let them take her away. She must have her reasons. 10 days later, Wu Lingyu opened his eyes for the first time. He immediately saw her figure immersed in her calculations, and a faint smile appeared on his face. Done. Sima Yue raised her head and asked, Wu Lingyu came down and walked to her side. He grabbed a strand of her black hair and said, You've been here for the past few days? She pulled back her hair. You've been reading this book? The arrays in this book are much more complete than others. It's harder to learn. Sima Yue said, indirectly answering his question. She kept the book and said, I've asked Mo Sha. As long as I reach the divine rank, I will be able to break the contract with him and you can fuse. At that time, you won't have to be troubled by this. Okay. Since that's the case, I'll stay by your side before you reach the divine rank. It'll prevent any trouble in between. Wu Lingyu said. You're the holy son of the sage pavilion. What's wrong with you following me? Sima Yue disagreed, saying, I'll ascend to the divine rank as soon as possible and go up to find you. You're chasing me away so quickly. You really don't have a conscience. Wu Lingyu said. I have my own things to do. You have nothing to do here. Sima Yue said. I'm willing. Wu Lingyu said. Then it's decided. Those people from the Sima family knew that she was a girl. What if they came to harass her? He had to stay by her side during this period of time. This girl was the kind of person who was unmoved. Once she was moved, she would be dead set on it. Although she didn't like anyone now, what if she fell in love with someone else when he left? So he had to stay by her side and declare his sovereignty. Sima Yue didn't know what Wu Lingyu was thinking. But since he insisted, she let him be. After all, he had found so many precious books for her. She couldn't chase him away. So after being kidnapped for 10 days, she brought Wu Lingyu back to the clan. The goddess in their hearts brought back an evildoer. It was even the person who had kidnapped her back then. The entire Yilin clan was shocked. They watched as she brought that man back to her courtyard. Yue, Bei Gongtang and the others were surprised when they saw Sima Yue bring Wu Lingyu back. Sima Yue shrugged, saying, He said that he wants to stay with us for a while. Then where will he stay? Naturally, he'll stay with junior brother. Wu Lingyu said with a smile. Stay together? Fatty Chu and the others were stunned. Stay with her? How is that possible? But Sima Yue nodded, saying, Prepare a room for him in my courtyard. Because there were more people in the clan, they still chose to use this kind of compound courtyard. A few people stayed in the same courtyard. But Sima Yue's position in the clan was higher. She had many secrets, so she lived alone in a small courtyard. Now she was actually willing to let Wu Lingyu stay in her courtyard. Wouldn't that mean that they would be together day and night? In the past, it didn't matter if they didn't know that she was a girl. But now that they knew, the people in the clan didn't feel at ease letting Wu Lingyu stay with her. But the other party's identity was special. Sima Yue also agreed. They could only watch as Wu Lingyu moved into her courtyard. Sima Yue couldn't do anything when she saw their disapproving gazes. This guy insisted on staying by her side. He said that if anything happened to her, she would be able to find out in time. She scoffed at his excuse. But when she checked his body, she agreed to his request. It wasn't because of what if anything happened to him. But when she checked his soul, she thought of the trauma he had suffered and couldn't bear to reject his request. Seeing that their goddess agreed to let a stranger stay with her, the young men's hearts broke. But those who went to Sheng City had seen Wu Lingyu and knew his identity. Compared to him, they had no chance of winning. As a result, the number of people loitering outside Sima Yue's courtyard gradually decreased. Seeing this effect, Wu Lingyu smiled in satisfaction. Chapter 421. Sima Yue did not notice what Wu Lingyu was doing, because she had been tidying up her things in her room ever since she came back. Alchemy, weapon refinement, mental energy enhancement, she chose a few of them. She called Fatty Chu and the others to copy a few copies and gave them to Sima Tai. Sima Tai and the rest were shocked when they saw what Sima Yue brought over. When she said that, they didn't think that she would bring so many books. They all thought that 1 or 2 books of each type would be enough. What they didn't know was that Sima Yue had only chosen the low-level ones. She didn't even dare to take out the high-level ones as she was afraid that it would bring trouble to her family. Sima Yue then returned to her own house. This time, she even called Sima Yulin over. Wu Lingyu stood outside the door and looked at the tightly shut door. He secretly hated himself for not knowing how to set up formations, which gave this kid an opportunity to take advantage of. After Sima Yu called Sima Yulin into the house, she took out an array blueprint and handed it to him. Sima Yulin took the array and looked at it. He immediately stared at her with wide eyes, filled with shock and doubt. This is a formation that senior brother obtained by chance. I've studied it for 2 days, but I still can't figure it out. That's why I asked you to study it with me. Sima Yue said. I didn't expect that you would be able to obtain a long-lost array like the Spirit Gathering Array. This is really too shocking. Sima Yulin said excitedly. If we can research this array, we'll be able to achieve twice the results with half the effort in the future. I think so too. Sima Yue said. Our abilities are weaker than the others now. If we can use the Spirit Gathering Array to make the Spirit Chi thicker, we will be able to catch up with them in no time. But you haven't even figured it out. Should we take this to grandfather to have a look? Sima Yulin asked. I'm almost done, but this Spirit Gathering Array can't be set up with ordinary array stones, so I want you to help me. It won't be too late to tell them when we can figure it out. Otherwise, if we fail in the end, they will be happy for nothing. Sima Yue said. That's fine too. Sima Yulin said. Let's give it a try first. What can I do for you? Didn't you get some spirit gathering stones in the little realm? It will only work if you use this to arrange the spirit gathering pearls. Sima Yue said. Then let's find a place to test it out. Sima Yulin was eager to try. It's best to find a spacious place, Sima Yue said. I know a place. Let's go and try. Sima Yulin said. All right. Sima Yue opened the door and saw Wu Lingyu standing outside. Where are you going? Wu Lingyu pretended not to care as he asked, but his eyes kept drifting towards Sima Yulin. To set up the formation, Sima Yue answered. I'll go too. Wu Lingyu waved her fan and said, I have nothing to do anyway. Up to you. Sima Yue said as she walked outside, and Wu Lingyu followed her. Sima Yulin looked at Wu Lingyu with a deep gaze, and no one knew what he was thinking. Sima Yue and the other two came to the backyard. There was a large hall that was 100 meters wide, and no one knew what the Zhang clan had built it for. When they entered, there was no one inside. Sima Yue and Sima Yue started to arrange the spirit gathering stones according to the blueprint, and started to arrange them according to the arrangement. Wu Lingyu saw that Sima Yue was busy and lowered her head to calculate with Sima Yue. She watched quietly from the side, not bothering to disturb them at all. Sima Yue and Sima Yue spent an entire day arranging the spirit gathering stones, but it was useless. They had no choice but to dismantle everything and start over again. The second time they spent another day, but it was still a failure. The third time, they spent close to 2 days, and the array was half complete. The array pattern shone halfway before it disappeared, indicating that they had failed. On the fourth time, they spent 2 days before they finally succeeded. The array pattern finally completed 1 round, and as the light slowly entered the array pattern, the surrounding spirit chi started to gather. It's done. Sima Yue closed her eyes to feel it, and said happily when she opened them. We actually succeeded. Sima Yue was excited as well, and looked at Sima Yue with shining eyes. Wu Lingyu also felt the change in the spirit chi in the air, and raised her eyebrows. She didn't think that they would really succeed. Sima Yue started to test the effects of the array after her initial joy. She furrowed her eyebrows, saying, although the spirit chi is flowing here, it's too slow. It's only improved a little after such a long time. It's impossible for everyone to cultivate here for a long time. Sima Yue had an idea, and took out the spirit gathering pearl, saying, what if we add this? This is the spirit gathering pearl? Sima Yue asked as she looked at the jade green pearl. Sima Yue nodded, saying, if we add this into the array, let's see if there'll be any effect. Okay. As such, the two of them dismantled the array that they had set up, and began to calculate how to put the spirit gathering pearl in. Half a month later, Sima Tai and a few other elders were invited here. The moment they entered, they felt that this place was different from the outside. What dense spirit chi? Elder Hu said in shock. It's much denser than other places. Elder Sang said as well. Sima Tai looked at Sima Yue, asking, what did you do here? We made a spirit gathering array, and can absorb the surrounding spirit chi here, making it denser. Sima Yue said, this effect is not bad. We calculated that this place can barely allow 3 people to cultivate at the same time. It's that powerful. Elder Hu looked at Sima Yue in shock. You can feel it, right? Sima Yue said. That's right. Sima Tai sensed it carefully. What plans do you have for this place? I'm thinking of using this place as a secret place for the clan to cultivate, and reward those who have contributed to the clan. We can also let the clan's disciples take turns to cultivate here. Sima Yue said. However, as for how to implement it, we'll have to discuss it with the clan and the elders. Clan leader, this is an important matter. Before we reach a conclusion, let's not tell everyone about this. Elder Sang said. Okay, we'll go back and discuss it now. Yu Yang, go and inform the other elders to head to the discussion hall immediately. Sima Tai said, then looked at Sima Yue and Sima Yue, saying, you definitely won't go. Yu Lin, come with us. Yes, clan leader. Sima Yue left with Sima Tai and the others. Only Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu were left in the house. The two of them slowly walked towards her courtyard. If there's a day, will you do so much for me? He asked as if he had some thoughts. Sima Yue turned her head to look at Wu Lingyu and thought for a while, saying, you're my senior. If you have something for me to do, I'll definitely do my best. Just do her best. Chapter 422. Sima Yue felt a little strange when she saw his gloomy eyes. However, she could not tell what was wrong, so she decided to ignore it. However, she still changed her words and said, since you're my senior brother, I'll do my best. The knot in Wu Lingyu's heart disappeared after hearing her words. He was a little special in her heart, so he could leave with peace of mind. I'm leaving, he said. Sima Yue stopped in her tracks and looked at him in surprise. You're leaving? Why so sudden? It's not sudden. It's just that I didn't tell you because you've been busy with the array lately, Wu Lingyu said. He didn't know what was wrong with that damned old man these past 2 days. He had been anxiously calling him back. Although he really wanted to stay by her side, if he attracted that old man's attention, it would bring her trouble. In the future, you are not allowed to reveal your identity as a woman in front of others. especially in front of people from the Sage Pavilion. Why? Do you know something? Sima Yue looked at him. She guessed that he didn't just dislike her cross-dressing in front of others. It doesn't matter if I tell you now. Wu Lingyu said. 10,000 years ago, the Sage Pavilion left behind a sentence. Female spirit masters with more than 4 attributes would be able to topple the Sage Pavilion. That was why the Sage Pavilion had been searching for such a woman all these years. Once they found her, they would immediately kill her. They would rather kill 10,000 innocents by mistake than let one escape. Many women have already been killed this year. Sima Yue's heart skipped a beat. Was this the reason why her father wanted her to disguise as a man? I think it's because of this that your father allowed you to dress as a man. Although you're in the lower realm, the Sage Pavilion is different from the other sections. They have subordinate pavilions in most of the continents. No matter where it is, as long as it's a girl like this, she will meet the same fate. Wu Lingyu said. It's a good thing that you've eliminated the power of the Sage Pavilion. Otherwise, even if you didn't do anything, I wouldn't have let them live. Sima Yue looked at Wu Lingyu and knew that what he said was true. If she did not destroy the Sage Pavilion before she changed into female clothing, he would definitely help her get rid of this hidden danger before he left. Even though no one knew that she was an all-elemental spiritualist. I understand. She understood the importance of this. If she did not have the power to fight with the Sage Pavilion, she would not be able to change back into female clothing. But how do you know I'm the one you're looking for? You were too young at that time and didn't know how to hide yourself. Wu Lingyu said. Although you didn't use it, you couldn't hide it from me. Dog knows, she muttered softly. When you return to the valley, you don't have to worry about it anymore. You can wear whatever you want. But as long as you don't go back, you can't change into female clothes. Do you understand? Got it, housekeeper. She said the last 3 words very softly. This guy was really long-winded. Wu Lingyu felt the fluctuation from the spatial ring, and his eyes flashed with impatience and disgust. He reached out and ruffled her hair, saying, I'm leaving. Don't be lazy and come up early. Remember to take the spirit fluid on time. If something like last time happens again, even Mo Sha won't be able to save you. Sima Yue reminded. Okay. Wu Lingyu took out a piece of jade and let Sima Yue drip a drop of blood on it. Then he dripped a drop himself so that it would be easier for him to find her location in the future. Sima Yue looked at this piece of jade. It looked a little different from the one in her hand, but it could also be used to locate her. Wu Lingyu kept the stone and opened a passage. Taking advantage of the fact that there was no one around, he hugged her and kissed her on the lips, saying, Woman, your heart can only have me. Seeing the anger in her eyes, he smiled satisfactorily and entered the passage before she flipped out, leaving this continent. Woman, your sister. Sima Yue was free and cursed at the spatial ring. This guy actually took advantage of her again. It was this trick again. It was the same feeling of helplessness. You better not let me surpass you one day, or else I'll strip you naked and throw you on the streets. Despicable. Despicable. On the other side of the passage, Wu Lingyu walked out of the void and called out Fire Qilin to rush towards the Sage Pavilion. Feeling the fluctuation from the spatial ring again, he smiled faintly, saying, Do you think I should take action earlier? This guy is getting more and more annoying. If it wasn't for him, he would still be by Yue's side. The time isn't right yet. Fire Qilin replied faintly. Wu Lingyu looked at the sky, saying, How frustrating. Sigh, let's go back and see what happened. Then we'll go back to the Divine Devil Valley to prevent that old guy from worrying. Sima Yue cursed as she returned to the courtyard. The Sima family members didn't dare to go up and greet her when they saw her black face. The air pressure was too low. Whoever provoked her might just cause a storm. Even Bei Gongtang and the rest didn't dare to ask her what happened when they saw her. Where's your senior brother? He went back. Sima Yue said hatefully. It's best if he doesn't see me, otherwise I'll definitely. She didn't say what she would definitely do, but when they saw that the cup she just grabbed was crushed, they knew that Wu Lingyu must have provoked her again. The spirit gathering array has already been set up. Let's see how the clan will arrange it. Everyone, cultivate well. We'll try to get up there as soon as possible. She crushed the broken shards into powder and returned to her own house. I feel that Yue is a little strange, Fatty Chu said. What's so strange about it? Bei Gong Tang said. Let's all go back and cultivate. Otherwise, if Yue goes up there, we can only stay here. After she finished speaking, she returned to her own courtyard to cultivate. Wei Ziqi and the others also understood that Sima Yue wouldn't wait for them for too long. If they wanted to go up with her, they would have to work hard to keep up with her pace. Very quickly, the clan decided to transform the place into 3 small houses. In the future, 1 person would enter each house to cultivate. 1 house would be a reward from the clan, 1 house would be reserved for talented juniors, and the last house would be used by the rest of the clan. Initially, they had planned to give 1 house to Sima Yue, but she rejected it. With the spirit pagoda, it would be more effective than cultivating here. Later on, Sima Yue went into closed-door cultivation, bringing along a large group of geniuses. Sima Yuyang and the others came together, as well as Sima Yulu, Sima Lai, Sang Muyu and the others. As long as they had entered the spirit pagoda, they went into closed-door cultivation. Their eyes were set on the primordial lands, determined to go up there. That was why they didn't care about the clan's affairs and focused on cultivating. A year passed in a flash, and 10 years had passed in the spirit pagoda. Chapter 423. Crackle. A bolt of lightning as thick as a water bucket struck down. The commotion shocked the citizens of Mo City, and they all looked towards the outside of the city. Is there a super mythical beast that has transformed? Such a huge commotion, it's definitely not a natural phenomenon. Those are tribulation clouds. Someone recognized the unusual dark clouds. Could there really be a sacred beast transforming? I was fortunate enough to see a sacred beast transform. The color of that tribulation cloud was different from this one. If it's not the transformation of a sacred beast, what else could cause such a huge tribulation cloud? Look at the lightning bolt that struck down just now. It's even thicker than a bucket. This is only the first bolt of lightning. We'll know later. When the first bolt of lightning struck, they didn't notice it. When they came over to watch, they only saw the mountains and didn't see the target of the tribulation. Sima Yue was currently in the valley grimacing in pain. Why didn't anyone tell her that there would be a lightning tribulation when she advanced to the divine realm? She had just advanced in rank, and before she could celebrate, she saw dark clouds rapidly gathering above her head. The sound of electric current between the clouds made Sima Yu's heart tremble. Lightning tribulation. Although there would be a huge commotion when others advanced to the god realm, no one had ever heard of anyone having a lightning tribulation. Why did she have one? She was not a sacred beast that needed to transform. Although she didn't know the reason, she quickly made the decision to call everyone out of the spirit pagoda to prevent them from being trapped in the spirit pagoda. When Wei Ziqi and the rest came out, they were rather shocked to see the tribulation clouds. Get out of here, Sima Yue shouted at them. We'll stay with you, Sima Yue said. No, if there are outsiders around, the level of the lightning will increase. Sima Yue said. If you guys are here, it will only make the lightning stronger. Alright, hurry up and leave. Sima Yulu and the others raised their heads and saw that the dark clouds had indeed grown larger, so they hurriedly left. The tribulation cloud seemed to have sensed it and dissipated a little. Sima Yulin and the others, who had run outside, finally heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he didn't increase the intensity of the lightning tribulation. Otherwise, they would regret it to death. Sima Yue had never experienced a thunder tribulation before. She had only seen Chongming's transformation from afar. She did not know how to deal with it, so she could only call Chongming out. When Chongming saw the tribulation cloud, his body subconsciously trembled. It seemed that the transformation had left a lingering fear in his heart. What do you think of the power of the lightning punishment? Sima Yue asked. It's much smaller than mine. Chongming said, with your current strength and physical strength, it shouldn't be a problem. Then what should I do? This was her first time going through a lightning tribulation, so she had no experience at all. Don't worry, you just have to mobilize the spiritual energy in your body to resist it. An appropriate amount of lightning can also temper your body, Halcyon said. I know. Seeing that the lightning was about to strike, she quickly put away the Chongming. Pa! She had just mobilized her spirit chi to condense a layer of armor on her body when the first bolt of lightning struck down. The lightning struck her body directly, breaking the armor on her body and drilling into her body. The electric current flowed through her body from top to bottom, and that kind of pain felt like it was tearing her body apart. She took out a pill and swallowed it. Using her spirit chi to catalyze it, it took effect immediately. Although her body was in pain, she was still seriously injured. All these years, she had been using Mo Sha's method to train her body. The strength of her body was incomparable to that of an ordinary person. Even if Fatty Chu had been training his body since young, his body's strength could not be compared to hers. The first bolt of lightning is the weakest. Chongming felt the condition of her body and reminded her. Sima Yue raised her head to look at the tribulation cloud. Seeing that an even stronger bolt of lightning was about to form, she hurriedly mobilized the spiritual energy in her body to protect her body. Then, under everyone's shocked gazes, the moment the lightning struck, she rushed up to the sky and met the lightning in the air. Pa! A small part of the lightning's power was dissipated by her, and then another part was dissipated by her external defense. The rest of it drilled into her body. The spectators in Mo City had been paying attention to the person undergoing the tribulation. Seeing the person colliding with the lightning, they could not believe their eyes. There's actually someone undergoing the tribulation. How can a person undergo a lightning tribulation? It's too strange. Are you sure that's a person and not a sacred beast? How can it be a sacred beast? A sacred beast cannot transform into a human before the last bolt of lightning strikes. Only after the last bolt of lightning can they transform. Look, the lightning tribulation hasn't even ended yet. How can they transform? So you're saying that there's really someone undergoing the tribulation? The Yilin clan members all flew up to the sky. Seeing the person undergoing the tribulation, they were all shocked. That's young Master Yue. It's really Yue. Why is she undergoing the tribulation? What did she do to attract the lightning tribulation? Clan head, she's actually undergoing the lightning tribulation. Should we think of something? Elder Hu furrowed his eyebrows, his eyes filled with worry. We've never experienced the lightning tribulation before. How can we help? Sima Tai was not worried at all. He had absolute confidence in her. Let's go over and take a look. Elder Sang said. Let's go closer. Elder Li said. The few of them and the clan elders who were alarmed flew towards the mountains outside the city. They saw Sima Yulin and the others from afar. They were still wondering where these guys were in seclusion. It turned out that they were with Sima Yue. Sima Yulin and the others also saw Sima Tai and the others coming over and bowed to them. What's wrong with Yue? Why did she attract the lightning tribulation? Sima Tai asked. Yue has advanced to the divine rank. Then, just as she succeeded, the lightning tribulation appeared. Sima Yuqing explained. Advanced to the divine rank? Everyone was shocked by this news. Then they were filled with doubt. Why would there be a lightning tribulation when one advances to the divine rank? This didn't happen when we advanced to the divine rank. One of the elders who had advanced to the divine rank said. That's right. There was no such thing. Another divine elder agreed. But she only advanced by one rank. Sima Yulan said. It could be that Yue's body is different from ours. That's why the lightning tribulation appeared. Sima Tai guessed. I've heard the Yun clan leader say before that there are some people in the upper realms who would attract lightning tribulation when they advance in rank, because of their cultivation methods. However, it was obvious that this was not the case for her. Sima Yue saw that Sima Tai and the others had come. However, she did not have the energy to look over because she was preparing for the next lightning tribulation with all her might. This lightning tribulation took longer than the previous two lightning tribulations. The color of the tribulation cloud was also the darkest. She guessed that the power of this lightning tribulation would be many times stronger than the previous one. Zap dash, a 1-meter-wide lightning bolt struck towards her in front of everyone's shocked and worried eyes. Sima Yue was struck. Her entire body was like a piece of charcoal. After the lightning passed, she fell to the ground, unable to get up. Her body flashed with electricity. Chapter 424. The tribulation cloud dispersed in satisfaction after striking Sima Yue. Everyone's lips twitched when they saw Sima Yue's charred body. There was not a single part of his body that was unscathed, and a faint meaty fragrance wafted through the air. If they hadn't sensed her life force, they would have thought that she had been struck to death by the last bolt of lightning. As a woman, this was too tragic. Cough cough Yu Qing, go and help her tidy up, Sima Tai said. Although he said he was going to tidy her up, he was actually going to put a coat on her. No one dared to touch her in her current state. The sizzling electric current had yet to dissipate. Whoever went near her would probably be electrocuted as well. Sima Yulin had already taken out a set of clothes and walked over, gently covering Sima Yu's body. It's not good to just lie down in the open like this. Let's get her a tent, Wei Ziqi said. Hence, the few of them set up a tent around Sima Yue and covered her inside. Sima Tai and the others went back first after ascertaining that Sima Yu was fine, leaving only Sima Yu Qing and the others to take care of her. After the people of Mo City knew that it was the Yilin clan who had undergone the tribulation, they became even more curious about this family that had appeared out of nowhere. However, after the tribulation, everyone dispersed. Although Sima Yue had been lying on the ground, she was still conscious. She didn't faint and could feel every bit of pain. She had just been struck by lightning, and her body was completely out of her control. She could hear the sound of the electric current, and she could feel the electric current running around in her body. She even discovered that after the electric current circled around her body a few times, it actually ran into her dantian and landed on the opposite side of the dark spiritual energy. It actually successfully occupied a place. Could it be that he would be able to cultivate the power of lightning in the future? He had never heard of anyone who could increase their cultivation attribute after birth. However, when he thought about how other people would not be struck by lightning when they advanced to the divine level, he felt that it was not strange for such a cultivation attribute to appear. However, she felt that the lightning attribute spiritual power began to challenge the darkness attribute after it had gained a firm foothold. She felt as if she could see two children glaring at each other, ready to fight at any time. Fortunately, the two of them didn't fight in the end. Otherwise, if the spiritual energy in his body became violent, he would be the one to suffer. Other than the lightning attribute in her body, Sima Yu also realized that after her body had been struck by lightning, it was much stronger than before. This time, she had been struck by lightning for a long time to refine her body. Although the process is very uncomfortable, the effect is not bad. Being struck by lightning was worth it, Sima Yu thought. But it really hurts. She lay on the ground for 10 days. Bei Gongtang had wanted to move her to the bed, but the moment she touched her body, she was electrocuted. Sima Yue could not speak. She winked at them, telling them not to touch her. She couldn't control her body right now, nor could she control the spiritual energy in her body. The other spiritual energies were fine, but this lightning energy had just entered her body and was not under her control at all. It was flowing all over her body, and they would be electrocuted if they touched her. In these 10 days, Sima Yu's body was constantly being tempered by lightning. Just as it was healed, it came again and again, causing her to be in pain for 10 whole days. However, in these 10 days, she slowly felt the difference between the divine rank and the spirit rank. The spiritual energy in her body had all turned into spiritual energy when she advanced in rank. In the future, she would no longer cultivate by absorbing the spiritual energy in the air, but by increasing the spiritual energy in her body to increase her strength. However, she still had to learn how to cultivate properly in the future. Other than the changes in her body, she also realized that her sea of consciousness was different from before. Although the sea of consciousness was called the sea of consciousness in the past, it was just a blank area in the brain. However, she now realized that her sea of consciousness was a lot wider than before, and even her soul had become stronger. In the past few days, the part of her soul that she had lost because of her injuries had also recovered, and the memories of her second life had also been recalled. Shimen Yue. So she really was Shimen Yue. The pain in her heart was uncontrollable. She closed her eyes, and tears fell uncontrollably. Bei Gongtang and Sima Yuqing came in, and saw that her hair was already wet with tears, and her gaze was different from before. Yue, what's wrong? Seeing her gaze and feeling the aura that was coming from her body, Bei Gongtang's heart ached. That aura was as if her world was about to be destroyed, and it was as if she wanted to destroy the heavens and the earth. Yue, are you feeling unwell? Sima Yuqing asked. Sima Yue closed her eyes, not wanting to speak. Bei Gongtang and Sima Yuqing didn't know what to do. Suddenly a space tunnel opened in the tent, and Wu Lingyu walked out. Seeing the person who had suddenly appeared, Bei Gongtang was very calm, but Sima Yuqing's eyes widened in shock. Wu Lingyu looked at Sima Yue, who was lying on the ground, and then looked at the two people in the tent. He frowned, asking, "What's wrong?" Yue advanced to the divine rank, and then attracted a lightning tribulation, and was struck to this state. She lost control of her body, and it's already been 10 days. Bei Gongtang said. Wu Lingyu saw the tears in Sima Yue's eyes, and felt that her aura was different from before. His eyes were filled with doubt and heartache. However, he didn't say anything. He came to Sima Yue's side, squatted down, and directly stretched out a hand to grab her arm. Be careful, They wanted to say that there was electricity in her body, but they realized that the electricity had no effect on him at all. Wu Lingyu checked for a moment, stood up, and formed a seal with both hands. A faint light emitted from his hands, and covered Sima Yue's body, wave after wave. After a while, Sima Yue felt that the electricity had returned to her dantian, and she could slowly control her body. Wu Lingyu retracted his power, and Sima Yue regained her freedom. Yue, are you alright? Sima Yuqing looked at her happily. This Wu Lingyu was pretty powerful. He was able to heal her body just like that. Sima Yue didn't reply to her, and didn't care that she was only wearing a piece of clothing, and that her body was still covered with charred black flesh. Instead, she stretched out a hand to wipe the tears from the corner of her eyes. However, no matter how she wiped, the tears wouldn't stop. Those indelible memories, the pain and hatred that came from the depths of her soul, almost caused her to break down. Yue, what's going on? Did something happen to your body? Sima Yuqing said worriedly. That anxious voice attracted the attention of those outside. Fifth bro, what's wrong? Sima Yue saw Sima Yue like this, and asked with heartache. They had never seen her like this before. In the past, she was sly and domineering, and occasionally a rogue, but she was always full of vitality. But now, she was curled up like a child who had done something wrong, crying nonstop. How did she suddenly become like this? Chapter 425. Seeing Sima Yue like this, everyone panicked. Was there something wrong with her body? Could it be that she couldn't cultivate anymore? But from the looks of it, that didn't seem to be the case. If she really couldn't cultivate, she wouldn't be crying like she was now. Instead, she would be determined to find a solution. Sima Yue raised her head and glanced at them before shifting her gaze to Wu Lingyu. Wu Lingyu didn't know why she was like this, but he still understood what she meant. He opened up a path, and then went forward to pick her up. He was careful not to let her clothes slip off, then stepped into the path and left. Where did he take you, Wei? Seeing the tunnel close, the Sima family came back to their senses. Yue, what's wrong with her? No matter how they guessed, they couldn't figure it out. Yulin, where did that guy take you? Sima Yuyang asked. Sima Yulin glanced at him saying, You're asking me, but who am I supposed to ask? However, this was Yue's idea. I think she just wanted some peace and quiet, so she asked Wu Lingyu to take her away. Maybe he'll be back in a few days. Wei Ziqi and the rest looked at Bei Gongtang. She was usually closer to Sima Yue, so maybe she knew something. Bei Gongtang shook her head, saying, I think that she might have thought of something. Little Roar kept saying that he and Yue had made a contract in her past life, but Yue doesn't have any memories of that. This meant that she had forgotten many of her memories. Maybe she remembered something from the past. If that's really the case, what did she experience in her past life to actually make her like this? Fatty Chu sighed. Bei Gongtang could not guess this either. Let's head back to the clan first. Sima Yulin said. If he comes back, he should head straight to the clan. There's no point in us waiting here. Third bro? Sima Yu looked at Sima Yu Ran. He hadn't said a word since he came in. Let's go. Fifth bro will be fine, Sima Yu Ran said. I hope she comes back soon. Sima Yu Lu sighed. He decided to go back and ask his grandfather to see if he knew anything. Sima Yu leaned into Wu Lingyu's arms, not knowing where he had brought her. Faced with everyone's concern at that moment, she only wanted to escape. She didn't know why she chose to let Wu Lingyu take her away. Perhaps it was because he could open a spatial tunnel. After some time, Wu Lingyu's voice came from above. Do you want to tidy yourself up first? She looked up. It was a completely unfamiliar environment, but the scenery was very beautiful. Where is this? She leaned into his embrace and asked. My little realm, Wu Lingyu said. You can vent to your heart's content here. No one will see. You're not human? She wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes and got down from his arms. She pulled at her clothes and looked around. Mountains and rivers were connected, birds chirped, flowers were fragrant, and spiritual energy was rich. It was a good place. How big is this? Her attention shifted to the little realm. And the grief in her heart was not so obvious. It's not big, Wu Lingyu replied. Seeing that she was better, it was not a waste to bring her here. Sima Yue knew that this kind of subsidiary little realm was similar to the spirit pagoda. However, this little realm could not be changed according to the owner's position, nor could it be controlled with one's thoughts. It was slightly worse than the spirit pagoda. However, this was also his independent space. He could do whatever he wanted. Weren't you in the primordial lands? How did you come here? Wu Lingyu took out the positioning stone that he had taken out before leaving. The entire jade stone had turned red. Your emotions were fluctuating greatly. It was very uncomfortable, so this turned blood red, Wu Lingyu said. She didn't know how panicked he was when he saw the change in the positioning stone. He was afraid that something had happened to her, so he immediately put down what he was doing and rushed over. The moment he saw her tears, he felt his heart ache. He really wanted to wipe her tears and comfort her. Seeing her pleading gaze, he knew that she wanted him to take her away. Feeling her trust in him, he was very happy. He thought about how to divert her attention and finally decided to bring her here. Sima Yue had recovered her memories. Naturally, she would remember this kind of high-grade positioning stone. She didn't think that he would rush over because of her emotions and even bring her here. When they met in her previous life, she didn't know that he was such a person. She lowered her eyes, hiding her emotions, and said, I want to wash up. Wu Lingyu reached out and hugged her. With a thought, they appeared in front of a building. Sima Yue was surprised and blurted out. You refined it? Only by refining the entire little world would he be able to control it as he pleased. After asking, she realized that she had said something that she shouldn't have. How could someone from the lower realm know about refining the little realm? Wu Lingyu's eyebrows jumped, but he didn't ask anything. He pointed to a room and said, That's the bathroom. Sima Yue pushed the door open and said before she closed the door, If I find out that you used the little realm to peek, I will definitely destroy this place. With that, she slammed the door shut. Wu Lingyu rubbed his nose. Was he such a wretched person? If he wanted to look, he would do it openly. Why would he do it secretly? Sima Yue saw that there was also a hot spring here. It was about the same size as the one she had. She took off her coat and threw it on the ground. She didn't know who this coat belonged to. It was big and long. Have I been reborn? She looked at the layer of dead flesh on her body. With a slight shake, it all fell off, revealing the smooth skin underneath. The charred dead skin looked disgusting. When she was covered in this kind of dead skin, how could Wu Lingyu still carry her in his arms without any change in expression? She went into the water and looked at the reflection of her face on the water surface. Tears gushed out, blurring her vision. Shimen Yue. Father, mother, brother. How could I forget you all? How could I forget you all for so long? I'm sorry, she called Little Roar out. Seeing that Little Roar's eyes were red, she hugged him in her arms. Little Roar, I'm sorry. I actually forgot about you. I'm sorry. He was her contracted beast. Because of the soul contract, he was lucky enough to survive. But when he woke up, he was faced with a master who didn't remember him. And because she didn't remember those things, the hatred of the extermination of her clan, the memories of watching her family die one by one, he couldn't tell her. He could only bear it alone. Master, you remember everything. Little Roar also shed tears. He was sad that Sima Yue regained her memories. He was also sad about the extermination of her clan. I remember everything. I remember everything. It's because of me. It's all because of me. Sima Yue caressed Little Roar and hugged him as she cried. Wu Lingyu stayed outside the door and didn't leave. When he heard the cries from inside, he frowned. Then he sighed and left. Chapter 426. When Wu Lingyu appeared again, it was already a few days later. Sima Yue was sitting on a rocking chair, hugging Little Roar and talking to him. Looking at her expression, she had already returned to her former self, but there was still a hidden sadness and hatred in her eyes. If you still don't show up, I'm going to tear this place apart. Sensing his presence, she said without raising her head. Isn't my place good? Wu Lingyu walked over. Good. It's too good. That's why I want to destroy it. Sima Yue said. Those medicinal herbs of yours are so precious. I'm so envious that I want to destroy them. If you want to destroy it, then so be it. As long as you're happy. Wu Lingyu said indifferently. Senior brother, you're really generous. She smiled, but unfortunately, there was no smile in her eyes. You're my only junior brother. If I'm not generous to you, who should I be generous to? Wu Lingyu said, have you recovered? Sima Yue lowered her head. A chill flashed across her eyes. Recover? How could she possibly recover? She was afraid that she would live in regret for the rest of her life. How long have I been here? When she raised her head again, she had already put away her emotions. She had spent the past few days in grief and regret. She would often be in a daze for a day or two. The sun did not rise or set here, so she did not know how long she had been here. Not too long, only about 10 days, Wu Lingyu said. Although he wasn't in the little world, this place was connected to him. He could clearly feel the changes in her mood. This was no different from the spirit pagoda. It's been more than 10 days. Sima Yue caressed Little Roar. Grandpa and the rest should be worried about me. Are you going back? Wu Lingyu asked. Let's wait a little longer. Sima Yue knew that they were worried about her, but she didn't know how to tell them about this when she returned. I went to find some books for you. Wu Lingyu didn't try to sway her decision, and took out a few books for her. These books contain cultivation methods and things to take note of at the divine level and above, as well as some spiritual techniques. Sima Yue took the book and said, thank you. In her previous life, she had never thought that she would be so close to him one day. She would even become his junior and become the junior valley master of the divine Devil Valley. She remembered that the last time she met him, he was the high and mighty Holy Sun, and she was the young miss of a family that was attached to a powerful force. At that time, she felt that although this fellow looked incomparably holy on the outside, he was not a gentle person on the inside. What are you thinking about? Wu Lingyu asked when he saw her staring at him in a daze. Nothing, Sima Yue said and changed the topic. Where did this come from? I went back to the valley to get it. Wu Lingyu said. I also went back to ask the old man about your situation. That's right, they definitely wouldn't have such basic cultivation books on them. If they wanted to find it for her, they would either have to return to the Sage Pavilion or the Divine Devil Valley. But what he didn't know was that she no longer needed these books. However, she still kept it. In the future, Bei Gong Tang and the others would need it. What did Master say? She asked. Master said that you cultivate both the light and dark attributes. Maybe he felt that it went against the heavens, so he struck you. Wu Lingyu said. But I'm more inclined towards Martial Uncle's explanation. The Great Valley Lord? What did he say? Sima Yue had always been curious about this Great Valley Lord that she had never met before. Martial Uncle said that people with great fortune are often blessed by the heavens. At the same time, they will also be treated specially by the heavens and set up tests. This lightning tribulation might be one of those tests. Wu Lingyu said. People with great fortune would have great trials. Back then, The ancestor of the Shiman clan had also said something like this. Maybe Sima Yue didn't agree or deny it. Maybe she was struck by lightning because of a combination of these two reasons. This was something that no one could say for sure. Furthermore, she actually gained a lightning attribute spiritual energy after being struck by lightning. This could be considered as a blessing from the heavens. But martial uncle and master have one thing in common. Wu Lingyu said. What? Sima Yue looked at Wu Lingyu's expression and felt that this wasn't good news. They all said that since you attracted a lightning tribulation when you advanced to the divine rank, perhaps you will be struck by lightning every time you advance in the future. Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue pursed her lips. Struck by lightning every time she advanced in the realm? Did she have to be so miserable? Actually, this lightning tribulation has its benefits. Now you have a lightning attribute spiritual energy in your body. Wu Lingyu saw her sad expression and comforted her. Then why don't you try it? She rolled her eyes at him. This guy really didn't know what he was talking about. Even if there were benefits, the process would still be very painful, alright? Wu Lingyu saw that she was rolling her eyes at him, and felt less worried. He sat beside her and said, Master said that since you've advanced to the divine rank, when do you plan to go up? It's still early, Sima Yue said. Yue, now that you've reached the divine rank, it'll be better for your cultivation if you go up. Although the spiritual energy in these continents is abundant, it's not as good as above. Also, when you return to the valley, you'll have more cultivation resources. Wu Lingyu said. I know, Sima Yue said. But now's not the time to go up. It's good that you don't go up. Recently, the Divine Devil Valley and the Cloud Cave are in a mess. You might encounter something if you go up. Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue thought of the time in the Little Realm when the Cloud Cave and the Sage Pavilion chased after the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbow clan. They definitely didn't do it on the spur of the moment. They must have made the decision before they came in. Half a year, she said. Wu Lingyu was stunned and understood that she would go up in half a year. He said, Then I'll come and get you in half a year. No need, Sima Yue said. Just give me a boundary compass. The boundary compass was the one that Old Man Devil had given her to enter the Little Realm. This thing could create a temporary passage for her to enter the primordial lands. Although this thing is rare, you should have it on you, right? Sima Yue saw that Wu Lingyu was silent and frowned. I really don't have it. Wu Lingyu shrugged. I'll send it down for you later. Okay. Sima Yue nodded. She didn't think that he could create a passage directly, so he naturally wouldn't have such a thing on him. You should have some unfinished business outside, right? If there's nothing else, you can leave first. After she finished speaking, she hugged Little Roar and closed her eyes. She hadn't completely adjusted her state of mind yet. She wanted to be alone and think about what would happen next. Now that she had regained her memories, her life would naturally change because she had more things to do. Zhongzheng Clan, Yinyang Palace, I will definitely make you pay with your blood. Chapter 427. After leaving for a month, Sima Yue returned to her family. Seeing her return, everyone's worried hearts finally relaxed. I'm sorry for making everyone worried. Sima Yue smiled apologetically at everyone. It's good that you're fine. Sima Yulin said. Everyone had a tacit understanding not to ask her where she had gone, or why she had lost control. They were just happy that she had returned. However, their happiness was soon dampened because she said, I will leave here in half a year and go to the primordial lands. She was leaving, which meant that he might not be able to see her for many years. Perhaps for a lifetime. After Sima Yue made her decision, she returned to her courtyard, leaving behind a group of people with different thoughts. The reason she said this was to let everyone be mentally prepared for her departure. The other reason was to tell those who wanted to follow her to cultivate well. She would not wait for them. She would not take them away until she reached the god level. Because of this, Sima Yuqing and the others all worked hard to cultivate, and they actually managed to advance to the divine rank in this half a year. Of course, they made use of the time difference in the spirit pagoda. In the past 1.5 years, they had spent 15 years in there. With their talents, It was expected that they would advance to the god level. Sima Yue, on the other hand, had put aside her cultivation for the past 6 months. Apart from her daily cultivation, she had put her focus on alchemy and array formation. Array masters were further divided into elementary array masters, intermediate array masters, advanced array masters, array masters, array grandmasters, array emperors, and so on. Sima Yue calculated her current level and realized that she had surpassed array master, and was now an array grandmaster. This was mainly due to the formation book that Wu Lingyu had found for her. Other than that, her dawn had also successfully entered the 7th realm. Furthermore, it was a recent breakthrough. After entering the 6th grade of alchemy, she found that it was harder and harder to break through. No wonder there were so many primary and intermediate alchemists, and the number of advanced alchemists decreased. One day, Little Spirit appeared in front of her and looked at her suspiciously, saying, "Didn't you always want to know what's on the 2nd level?" Sima Yue slapped her forehead. Only then did she remember that the 2nd level had already been opened when she had advanced to the god level. However, because of those things, she had forgotten about it. Let's go take a look. Sima Yue put down the book and appeared on the 1st floor of the Spirit Pagoda. The last time she was here, she had been struck by lightning. But now that she thought about it, compared to the lightning tribulation she would encounter when she advanced to the god realm, this was just like scratching an itch. Little Spirit floated behind her and said, "Let's go forward and take a look." Sima Yue nodded, feeling a little nervous. What was waiting for him on the 2nd floor? She walked up the stairs one step at a time, and stopped at the corner between the 1st and 2nd floor. This was where she had been stopped. Looking at the thin ripples, she took a deep breath and reached out to touch it. He had passed through. The barrier no longer obstructed her. Instead, it dissipated. She continued to walk up. As the number of stairs decreased, her heart beat faster and faster. Finally, she stepped on the last step of the stairs. However, she did not see anything. There was only darkness. Her tense god realm spirit immediately relaxed. She asked curiously, "Little Spirit, why is there nothing on the 2nd floor?" "Who said there's nothing?" Little Spirit snapped his fingers, and the dark environment suddenly lit up. Sima Yue saw a mountain range. Mountain range? What's the difference between this and the 1st floor's mountain range? She looked at the mountain range and did not find any difference. Little Spirit rolled his eyes and said, "This is a mine, not the ordinary mountain range below. How can there be no difference?" "Mine? What do you use it for? To open a mine and refine equipment for Fatty? This is a crystal mine. Didn't you notice that there is less spiritual energy here and more spiritual energy?" Little Spirit roared. Sima Yue then remembered that in the primordial lands, although everyone relied on increasing the spiritual energy in their body to cultivate, there were other ways to increase the speed. For example, absorbing the spiritual energy in the crystals. Looking at these mines, Sima Yue did not know whether to laugh or cry. The resources here were comparable to the resources in the hands of the large sections. However, they were all underground. Did she have to dig them out herself? Furthermore, not all of these mountains had crystals. She was not a seeker spirit master. How would she know how to find crystals? If you want to open up these mines, you have to find a seeker spirit master. Otherwise, you have to become one. She said helplessly, "Finding a seeker spirit master is not realistic. Even if you find one, you can't bring them in. Then you can only become a seeker spirit master." Seeker spirit master was the most popular profession in the primordial lands. Its status was even higher than that of an array master. The reason was that they knew how to identify stones. They knew how to find crystals and spirit veins. They also knew how to open up rare crystals from ore. The last time in the Little Realm, Mo Sha was so excited when he obtained a magic crystal. It could be seen how valuable these crystals were. The status of a seeker spirit master, who could open up rare crystals, was self-evident. But it's easier said than done to become a seeker spirit master. She sighed and asked, "Little Spirit, were there any seeker spirit masters among your previous owners?" "No," Little Spirit said. "But I have a book here." Sima Yue took the book that Little Spirit gave her, and saw the words on the page. She cried out in surprise. Spirit Seeking the Origin. It's actually Spirit Seeking the Origin. How did you get this book? She had heard of this book in her previous life. It was said that it was the highest-ranked book in the Spirit Seeking Secret Manual. There were many secret methods to identify ores in it. It was said that only the owner of Spirit Seeking the Origin could achieve the highest achievement and become a Spirit-Seeking Emperor Master. However, this book had been lost for a long time. She did not expect that it would be in Little Spirit's hands today. I don't know which owner obtained it, Little Spirit said. Then why didn't he become a Seeker Spirit Master? Sima Yue asked curiously. He didn't have time to read it before he died, Little Spirit said. Sima Yue was speechless. This owner was too pitiful. Even with Little Spirit around, he still died. However, leaving behind Spirit Seeking the Origin was a good thing for her. With this good thing, her chances of success when she went up to take revenge would be higher. Therefore, she spent most of her energy on researching and finding the source of the crystals. She first thoroughly understood the theory of Spirit Seeking the Origin. Then, she went to the second level of the Spirit Pagoda to find the source of the crystals. She put the theory into practice and increased her ability to find the source of the crystals. Time passed by in a flash and half a year quietly passed. Chapter 428. When Sima Yue left, she kept a low profile. Other than the elders in the family and Wei Ziqi's family members, no one else knew about it. The Wei clan and the Chu clan had already completely assimilated into the Yilin clan. Their strength was not high, and they could not possibly go up with Wei Ziqi and the rest. Only Sang Muyu had come out because of Ouyang Fei, so she would definitely leave with them. Moreover, because of this period of cultivation, her strength had increased by leaps and bounds, and she had already become a spiritual venerable. Other than Wei Ziqi and the others, there was also Sima Lai, Sima Yuming and the four brothers, as well as Sima Yulin. Sima Yuqing, Sima Yuyang and the others wanted to go as well, but Sima Tai said that not everyone could go up. Otherwise, the younger generation would suffer heavy losses and affect the clan's development. They would only be allowed to leave after someone took over their position. Although Sima Yuyang and the others were unwilling, they had no choice but to stay. They would go up to look for them in the future. On this day, she placed everyone in the Spirit Pagoda. With her current strength, using the realm-breaking compass would only allow her to pass through the passageway. Sima Tai, Sima Yuyang, Sima Yuqing and Sima Yulan came to her courtyard to send her off. If you want to look for us, you can go to Divine Devil Valley. Sima Yue said. Okay, we will. Sima Yuyang said. You have to take care. Wait for us to go up and look for you. Sima Yuqing said worriedly. She had been worried about Sima Yue the last time. Don't worry. We'll wait for you upstairs. Sima Yue said with a smile. She took out the breaking boundary compass and injected spiritual energy into it. Then she threw it into the air. A passage opened up around the breaking boundary compass, and it fell into her hand. We're going. She looked at them and was a little reluctant, but she still flew into the tunnel. Sima Tai and the others watched her leave and watched the tunnel close. Seeing the reluctance in Sima Yuyang and the others' eyes, he said, Relax, I think that it won't be long before you all can go up as well. You have to quickly develop the younger generation. Sima Yuyang said. The boundary compass that Wu Lingyu gave her had a fixed position. As long as she injected her spirit energy, it would set up a spatial passage to Divine Devil Valley. When Sima Yue entered the spatial tunnel, she could not help but sigh at how weak she was. The spatial tunnel she created was extremely unstable. Back then, although the tunnel he had constructed wasn't particularly good, it shouldn't have been so shaky, as if it would collapse at any moment. Moreover, due to the instability of the spatial passageway, his entire body was being squeezed and torn apart by the spatial pressure, causing him great pain. Boom! A deafening sound echoed through the void. Sima Yue cursed in her heart. Before she could do anything, she had deviated from her original route. The spatial passage he constructed earlier collapsed, and he was pulled into the space vortex. Fortunately, she had thought of this from the beginning, and was prepared when she entered the passage. She was holding a world-breaking compass in her hand. This compass was not like the one she used before. It was only the size of an egg. The tearing of the void caused her to lose control of her body more and more. Fortunately, she had injected spirit energy into the compass before the change occurred. The compass quickly opened a gap and brought her out of the void. She fainted after leaving the void. In a desert in the primordial lands, a camel caravan was walking unhurriedly. There were 30 over camels and 10 over people sitting on the camels, chatting and laughing. Father will be out of this desert in half a day. A lady in her 20s was wearing a fiery red riding attire. Her hair was braided, and there were small bells hanging from the braids. The small bells chimed as she moved. The leader was a man in his 30s. When he heard his daughter's words, he smiled and said, "It's been a safe journey. I hope it will be so smooth all the way back." As if he thought of something, his smile slowly faded and worry crept into his eyebrows. The lady in red saw her father's expression and said, "Father, are you worried that the Jiang clansmen will do something bad? If we don't pay more tributes this time, the Heavenly Tiger Hall will not protect us anymore." The middle-aged man said, We prepared a lot of tributes in the past. It's just that the Jiang clan did something bad. They either robbed or stole it. Otherwise, it would have been destroyed. If not for them, how would we have been given the ultimatum?" The lady in red said. Then she smiled and said, "However, the spirit source we found this time is not bad. It should be able to produce stones. As long as we hand it to the Heavenly Tiger Hall, we will be able to survive this crisis. I'm afraid that the Jiang clan has already received news that we found the small mine. I'm afraid that they will come to snatch it again." The middle-aged man said, "Clan leader, the people we brought this time are not weak. If the Jiang clan wants to do something bad again, we will make sure that they will not be able to return." Another man at the side said, Father, there seems to be someone there." The lady in red pointed at a person who was about to be buried under the sand. The middle-aged man looked. There was indeed a person buried under the sand. Other than the face, nothing else could be seen. "Clan leader, could it be a dead person?" The man who spoke before said. "Father, let's go down and take a look." The lady in red said, "Miss, what if it's an ambush set by the Jiang clan?" The lady in red was stunned. She said uncertainly, "It shouldn't be." However, she was also unsure. She looked at her father, waiting for him to make a decision. "It's not easy to set up an ambush here. The Jiang clan shouldn't be here." The middle-aged man hesitated. "Send someone down to take a look." A guard came down from the camel and ran down. He shouted to them, "Clan leader, it's a young lad. He seems to be severely injured." After confirming that there was no ambush, the camel team stopped. A few guards were left behind, while the rest came down. "Father, this person seems to be severely injured. Let's save him." The lady in red looked at Sima Yue, who was dug out from the sand by the guards. She frowned and said, "Clan leader, we don't even dare to walk alone in this area. How could a young lad be injured here?" Someone said, hinting that Sima Yue's appearance here was unusual. "But father, there are very few people here. If we don't save him, I'm afraid that he will be buried by the sand." The lady said with pity. The middle-aged man looked at Sima Yue carefully. He did not recognize the blood ring on her left hand. He also could not find anything else that could identify her. He could not confirm her identity. In the end, he sighed and said, "Since we've already met him, let's bring him along. When we get out of the desert and into the town, we'll put him down." Chapter 429. Pain. This was the biggest feeling Sima Yue had after she regained consciousness. The pain this time was almost comparable to the last time he was struck by lightning, but the consequences were much more serious. This was because she realized that other than her physical injuries, she was also injured in the void. Her sense of space was a little chaotic for a moment, and she actually lost connection with her spatial ring and spirit pagoda. That also meant that Beigong Tang and the others would not be able to come out. She panicked, but she was also very weak. She only woke up for a moment before falling into darkness again. When she regained her consciousness, the first thing she did was to sense the spirit pagoda. It was only after she discovered the connection between her and the spirit pagoda that she relaxed. Fortunately, although he still couldn't open the spirit pagoda and spatial ring, at least there was a connection. This meant that he was recovering, and he should be able to open the spirit pagoda soon. She felt her dry throat being moistened by the cold water, and her burning body felt much better. Her heavy eyelids slowly opened. "You're awake?" A clear voice sounded beside her. Sima Yue felt as if she was in a carriage. Her body was swaying, and in front of her was a handsome face with eyes as bright as the stars. Before she could say anything, the woman had already told her what she wanted to know. "I'm Zhuama. My father is Zhuaran. We saw you in the desert 2 days ago. At that time, you were almost buried alive. Right now, we have already left the desert and are rushing towards Evernew City." "Did they save her?" "Thank you," she said, her voice hoarse. "It's better if you don't talk. My father gave you a pill, but the level isn't high, so your body hasn't recovered yet." Zhuama said. "Come drink some more water." Zhuama placed the water belt beside Sima Yue's mouth and fed her 2 mouthfuls. Actually, she was shocked to see Sima Yue's injuries. Her father had said before that Sima Yue's entire body had been torn apart. Although they had given her pills to eat, they were only third-ranked healing pills. For such serious injuries, they didn't even know if it would have any effect. However, in the past 2 days, her injuries had healed at a speed visible to the naked eye, which shocked everyone. Even Zhuaran felt that it was too strange. Sima Yue drank the water. Zhuama wanted to say something, but she didn't ask anything in the end. "Have a good rest. We still have a few days before we reach Evernew City. I'll go out first." With that, she smiled at Sima Yue, pulled open the curtain and left. Sima Yue waited for her to leave before sensing the connection between her and the spirit pagoda again. After confirming that everything was fine, she retracted her thoughts and recalled what had happened earlier. It had only been less than a minute since the change in space to her breaking out of the void, but she had suffered such serious injuries. Furthermore, her physique had been tempered over the years, and was comparable to that of a spirit beast. She was many times stronger than an ordinary person. If it were anyone else, they would have been torn to pieces in an instant. Fortunately, she had the boundary-piercing compass in her hand from the start and reacted quickly. When she heard the sound, she immediately injected her spirit energy into it. If she hadn't prepared beforehand and didn't react so quickly, she wouldn't have been able to come out. Thinking about that sound, she was curious. Listening to that sound, there should be someone fighting. To be able to affect the void in a battle, what kind of people were fighting? Although she had only been in the void for a minute, she didn't know how many regions she had deviated from. And she didn't know which region she had deviated from, so she had no way of guessing the distance between her and the Divine Devil Valley. She heard Zhuama talking to Zhuaran on the beast carriage after she went out. "Father, she's already awake," Zhuama said. "How is she?" Zhuaran asked. "She has already recovered quite a bit," Zhuama replied. "That speed is much faster than what I've seen before." "Patriarch, we'll reach Evernew City in 2 days. We'll just send her to the inn then, right?" Zhuoyang said. After Evernew City, we'll be in the Jiang family's territory. If we bring her along, we might implicate her," Zhuaran said. "But father, she's so good-looking, and that Evernew city lord is a guy. She's injured so badly. Wouldn't it be bad if we leave her in the city?" Zhuama said disapprovingly. "But we just received news yesterday that the Jiang family is preparing to intercept us. If we bring her along, won't we be held back? What if we die because of her?" Zhuoyang said. "Zhuoyang, shut up," Zhuama scolded softly. "She's someone we saved, how can you say that? If we really die, it's because we're not strong enough. How can you blame others?" "Zhuoyang, your cousin is right. You can't say that in front of her," Zhuaran said. "Oh right, what's that young master called? I forgot to ask." Zhuama slapped her forehead and said in annoyance. I'm not spouting nonsense," Zhuoyang said. "That person appeared in the desert for no reason, and we didn't feel any spiritual energy fluctuation from her body. That means she's not a spirit master. We're bringing a normal person. If we're not being held back, what is?" Zhuoyang, you're the one who's afraid of death. Leave now and don't stay with us. Zhuoma said angrily. Zhuoyang was Zhuoma's cousin. Although the relationship between the siblings wasn't good, she had never scolded him like this. Now that an outsider had scolded him, he was angry. Isn't he just a pretty boy? Why are you so protective of him? I'm thinking of everyone's safety. Do you want to harm everyone's lives because of a pretty boy? You're spouting nonsense. Zhuoma's anger rose as well. Anyway, you're not allowed to leave him in Evernew City. I don't agree. Zhuo Ran didn't think that his daughter would be so insistent. He thought about it and said, how about this, we'll leave him at the next place after we pass Evernew City. Humph. Zhuoma snorted coldly, agreeing with Zhuo Ran's idea. Thinking that she would see Zhuo Yang's face outside, she opened the door and entered. She didn't think that Sima Yue wasn't asleep. Seeing her understanding gaze, Zhuoma was a little embarrassed. That cousin of mine is like that. Don't take it to heart. Sima Yue said. Zhuoma was stunned. She then knew that Sima Yue was talking about her name. She smiled and said, Yue, why did you appear in the desert? How did you get injured? Where is your home? Although she felt that Sima Yue was a good person after seeing her eyes, she still wanted to know why she got injured. Do you know how far the Divine Devil Valley is from here? Sima Yue asked. Divine Devil Valley? We don't have a Divine Devil Valley here. Zhuoma replied. Chapter 430. Hearing Zhuoma's words, Sima Yue was startled. She asked, then what about the Moonbow clan and the Cloud Cave? Zhuoma shook her head and said, I've never heard of any of these. These were all great powers in the Middle Region, but she had never heard of them? Could it be that this was not the Primordial Lands? Is this the Primordial Lands? She continued to ask. Of course, Zhuoma said. Why, you're not from the Primordial Lands? Hearing that she was in the Primordial Lands, Sima Yue heaved a sigh of relief and said, I just came to the Primordial Lands. Because of some problems, I didn't reach my destination. Your destination is the Divine Devil Valley, right? Zhuoma asked with a smile. Sima Yue nodded and did not deny it. Is this place in the middle region or the outer region? She saw that Zhuoma's strength was not high, so it should not be someone from the inner regions. We are in the periphery, Zhuoma said. And our place is very small. We have never heard of the Divine Devil Valley you mentioned. Divine Devil Valley is a powerhouse in the middle region. It's okay if you don't know about it. Sima Yue said indifferently. Although she said that she didn't care, she was feeling bitter in her heart. It wasn't easy to go from the outer region to the central region. He had never been to the outer region before, so he had to find a way to get to the middle region. But the premise was that he had to know where he was. Zhuoma saw the worry in Sima Yue's eyes and said, Don't worry, we don't know, but the people in the big places definitely know. After you recover, you can go to those big cities and have a look. That's the only way, Sima Yue sighed. Can you tell me more about your situation here? Her injuries were still quite serious, and it would take a few more days for her to recover. Sure. Zhuoma knew that she had come up from the lower continent, and definitely did not know much about this place, so she explained the situation to her. Sima Yue felt even more bitter after hearing that. In her previous life, she had heard that there were tens of thousands of regions in the periphery. She had always thought that it was an exaggeration, but she did not expect it to be true. There were countless skyscraping ridges and eightfold ridges in the periphery. The smaller forces would rely on the bigger forces for protection, while the bigger forces would rely on the higher-level forces, and so on. Because the area was too vast, Zhuoma and the others had never been too far away in their lives. This was because only sects had teleportation arrays. How could those sects' teleportation arrays be used by ordinary people like them? Those teleportation arrays will not be used by outsiders, unless you can enter a sect and become a core member, or if you have something that can make them willing to provide you with teleportation arrays. Zhuoma said, Only the Heavenly Tiger Hall has a teleportation array here, but the Heavenly Tiger Hall is not easy to talk to. Sima Yue looked at Zhuoma's expression, and knew that the Heavenly Tiger Hall was not as difficult to deal with as Zhuoma had made it out to be. It was probably not a good faction. I heard you guys talking about the Jiang family just now. What's going on? She asked. Zhuoma thought that it would be better to tell her now so that she would be mentally prepared, and said, the Jiang family and our Zhua family are both clans under the Heavenly Tiger Hall. If we want to be protected by the Heavenly Tiger Hall, we have to provide them with resources on a regular basis. If we do not meet the requirements, we will lose the protection of the Heavenly Tiger Hall and be bullied by other powers. Sima Yue knew about this way of life. It was the same in some places in the central regions. For example, the Zhongzheng family was dependent on the Yin-Yang sect, while the Yin-Yang sect was dependent on other powers. The Jiang family and our Zhua family have always been enemies. 2 years ago, our tributes to the Heavenly Tiger Hall were either stolen or destroyed by them. This caused us to not meet the requirements of the Heavenly Tiger Hall for many years. This year, the Heavenly Tiger Hall has already given us a final warning. If we do not contribute anything good, they will not protect us in the future. Zhuoma said angrily. You guys have obtained something good this year? Sima Yue guessed. Zhuoma nodded. By chance we found a small mine in the depths of the desert. Although the mine is not big, the quality of the ores inside is not bad. It actually produced a rare crystal. Thus we took the risk and went to the small mine to dig out some ores. My father said that if we handed these over, we would be able to pass. Sima Yue was slightly surprised. They actually found a rare crystal. To a small family like theirs, this was definitely a huge amount of wealth. However, even if they obtained it, they did not own it. Then will the Jiang family rob you? She asked. We received news yesterday that the Jiang family knew about the small mine and are preparing to rob us on the way. Zhuoma was furious. This Jiang family is relying on the divine sect to bully us time and time again. When we have the power, we will definitely destroy them. There were not many ranks above the divine rank. There were only the divine king, divine sect, divine emperor and reverend gods. Every rank was not divided into 1 to 9 small ranks. It was divided into beginner, middle and high ranks. People with the power of the divine sect could be considered strong in this place. We will have to pass by the Jiang family's territory on our way back, so it might be dangerous. Zhuoma said. However, if we put you in Evernew City, that city lord is not a good person. He likes men. You are so good-looking, it will be even more dangerous. Many thanks. Sima Yue said gratefully. In her previous life, she had seen too much deception. She never thought that she would meet such a kind girl here. What are you thanking me for? Actually, it is very dangerous for you to be with us. Although my father said that we will put you in the next city after Evernew City, Evernew City will belong to the Jiang family. If they come early, Zhuoma did not finish her sentence, but Sima Yue understood what she meant. However, she was not worried. Wasn't there still 2 days? No one knew how much she could recover in 2 days. After another 2 days, her body could move again. She still could not open her spirit pagoda, but her spatial ring was completely under her control. They did not enter Evernew City. Instead, they planned to go around the mountain range outside the city to avoid being unable to leave. It was already late, so they found a spacious place to rest. Before entering the mountain, the beast carriage Sima Yue used before was abandoned. Because the mountain path was rugged, beast carriages could not pass through it. Fortunately, her body had mostly recovered. Although her spirit energy had not fully recovered, she had no problem moving around. When they were setting up camp, Zhuoma saw Sima Yue walking around in a circle, but she did not take it to heart. Sima Yue returned to the fire and sat down. Zhuoyang gave her a cold look, showing his dissatisfaction. He really could not understand why Zhuoma had to keep her here. A burden. Late at night, everyone went to rest. Sima Yue suddenly opened her eyes and looked towards Evernew City. Chapter 431. After she was able to open her spatial ring, she took advantage of the fact that they weren't paying attention and ate a 6th grade healing pill. Although she could recover by relying on her god devil body, it would be faster with pills. Compared to the lower continents, the primordial lands were much crueler. As mentioned before, tens of thousands of people died every day. Who knew when danger would descend? He had to master his strength first. Sensing the aura coming from Evernew City, she wondered if she should inform the Zhua family. Before she could make a decision, Zhuoran had already opened his eyes. His gaze was naturally in the direction of Evernew City. He was surprised to see Sima Yue awake and looking in that direction. This brat clearly looked very weak, so why did he feel an aura approaching? He stood up. The Zhua family members felt his movement and woke up one after another. "Father, what's wrong?" Zhuo Ma stood up and asked. Zhuoran said with a calm expression, "It seems that the Jiang family is more anxious than we thought." "Clan head, are the Jiang clan members here?" Zhuoyang asked. Sima Yue frowned as she sensed the approaching aura. It seemed like there were more people than she had expected. Zhuoran also felt it and his expression changed greatly, saying, "Zhuo Ma, quickly take those oars and leave. No matter what happens, don't look back. When you return, pass the oars to your third uncle and ask him to hand them over to the Heavenly Tiger Hall." Upon hearing this, Zhuo Ma's face turned pale. "Father, did a lot of people from the Jiang family come?" "At least 2 high-level god kings," Zhuoran said. He was also a high-level god king, but if there were 2 of them, they wouldn't be a match for them. "Ha ha ha, it seems like your senses are quite sharp." A voice echoed in the forest, making it hard to distinguish the direction. "You want to leave? None of you are leaving today." Several figures came out of the forest and surrounded them. Sima Yue looked at them walking and felt that it was inconvenient to be on the top. Because the laws of heaven and earth were different, god kings could not fly in the air. Even though she could fly in the continent below, she could not fly in the air here. When Zhuoran saw who it was, she said coldly, "Jiang Fei, I didn't expect it to be you." "Haha, my big brother said that since you're personally taking action, we naturally can't fall behind. But he's busy, so he sent me." Jiang Fei laughed loudly and said, "I heard that you've found quite a few good ores. If you want to go through my Jiang family's territory, shouldn't you have left some tolls? Don't go to the Jiang family's people to bullies too. SSSST2SSTist, SSSSTTS, TTSSSSSS, TTSST, STTTSST, SSS, S, S's, SSSS Jiang. Zhuoran did not expect the Zhuo family to send Jiang Fei over personally. As the younger brother of the head of the family, Jiang Fei's status was not ordinary. S's. "Are you trying to silence me?" Zhuoran asked. "Wrong. We don't intend to kill all of you. At the very least, we want to kill those who know the location of the small mine, right?" When Jiang Fei mentioned the small mine, his eyes flashed with greed. "If you know what's good for you, then tell us the location of the small mine. Otherwise, when we cripple you and force you to confess, you'll suffer even more." "Don't even think about it." Zhuoran refused to compromise. "Even if we die, we won't hand over the mine to you. Lord Jiang, look at that person." Another high-level god king saw Sima Yue sitting there calmly. He rubbed his hands and swallowed his saliva. This kid was really too handsome. He was 100 times better looking than those people in his family. He never thought that he would meet someone like this when he came here. From the moment he got close, he noticed Sima Yue. That peerless charm made him fall head over heels for her. He couldn't wait to take her back and enjoy her. Only then did Jiang Fei notice Sima Yue. He was also stunned by her appearance. When he saw the Yongxin City's city lord's perverted look, he said, "Don't worry, I'll hand her over to you later." "Thank you, Lord Jiang." The city lord looked at Sima Yue excitedly. His perverted gaze made her feel disgusted. Zhuo Ma also saw it. She apologized to Sima Yue and said, "I'm sorry, I didn't expect to bring you trouble." "Don't worry," Sima Yue said calmly. She was not worried or anxious. "Humph, I told you to let her go. Now she's taken a fancy to us." Zhuoyang snorted. When Zhuoran saw Sima Yue's calm expression, he was surprised. Facing so many strong people, she did not panic at all. Could it be that she had something to rely on? Sima Yue calmly got up from the ground and patted the grass off her body, saying, "Patriarch Zhua, since you've saved my life, I'll repay your kindness today." "You?" When Zhuoran saw Sima Yue's confident expression, he did not know whether to believe her or not. However, other than believing in her, they had no other choice. "Yue, do you really have a way?" Zhuo Ma looked at Sima Yue with uncertainty. In the past 2 days, she had been close to Sima Yue. She knew that her strength had not recovered and the other party was stronger than her father. Did she really have a way? Sima Yue smiled at Zhuo Ma and said, "Don't worry, nothing will happen to you tonight." After saying that, she looked at the city lord of Yongxin City and said, "I hate it when people try to take advantage of me, especially people like you. It's really disgusting. Hee boy, when you are in my hands, no matter how disgusting you feel, I have plenty of ways to make you feel good." The city lord of Yongxin City laughed wretchedly. "Let's see if you can survive the night." Sima Yue laughed coldly. When Jiang Fei saw Sima Yue's expression, he felt that something was wrong. A sense of danger rose in his heart. "Who are you?" She was not a member of the Zhuo family and did not have much spiritual energy waves, but it made him feel very uneasy. "Me? I am the one who will take your lives." Sima Yue laughed, like the Grim Reaper in the dark night. She injected spiritual energy into the place where she had been sitting. A bright light shone in the forest, breaking through the darkness and reaching the clouds. Everyone was shocked as a ripple of energy enveloped the entire Zhuo family. Then, an even larger ripple surrounded the entire forest. Everyone was trapped inside, unable to leave. Chapter 432. Array Master? Both the Zhuo family and the Jiang family were stunned when they saw this. At the same time, the Zhuo family was overjoyed while the Jiang family was flustered. "I did not expect you to be a formation master as well. I have underestimated you." Jiang Fei looked at Sima Yue. She had indeed brought about a change in the situation. However, he did not think that Sima Yue's array could trap him. The level of a formation was usually related to the strength of the person who set it up. Sima Yue seemed to have low spiritual power, so she might not have even reached the divine level. Moreover, this array formation could not be achieved without decades or centuries of research. Sima Yue's bone age did not seem to be very old. She had not been learning array formations for long, so she was definitely not very powerful. Thinking of this, his heart relaxed. He looked at Sima Yue and the others and said, "This is just an ordinary defensive array, right? Who knew how many attacks it could withstand from 2 high-level god kings? I'll give you a chance. Close the teleportation array and come out. If you do, I can spare your life." "Spare my life?" Sima Yue sneered and said, "We'll see if you have the ability to break my defensive array." It's just a small defense array," the mid-level divine king said disdainfully. He condensed his spiritual energy and attacked the defense array. The Zhuo family watched as the god king attacked the defensive array. They saw that Zhuo Ran did not move. They watched as the God King's attack drew closer and closer. Their hearts were in their throats. When the attack hit the defensive array, there was no fierce collision as everyone expected. The spiritual energy seemed to have been absorbed by the array and disappeared silently. The God King looked at the light of the defensive array, and was so shocked that he was speechless. He was well aware of how powerful his attack was. That was an all-out attack, yet it didn't even budge. The Zhuo family members were overjoyed. The defense array was so powerful that even a mid-level supreme being could not touch it. That meant that even if Jiang Fei personally attacked it, he might not be able to break it. "Since you've already launched an attack, it wouldn't be right if I didn't reply to you." Sima Yue walked to the middle of the defense array and told Zhu Yang to move aside. After he left, she placed the array formation stone into the small groove that he was standing on just now. After the array formation stones were put in, there were no changes inside the defense array. However, white lights kept flashing outside. After the white lights disappeared, the people of the Jiang family went crazy. I'm going to kill you." A younger man suddenly slashed at his companion. "You think you can kill me? You've been an eyesore for a long time. Motherf ***, how dare you hit me? I'm going to kill you today. Lord Jiang, I've been longing for you for a long time. Why don't we be together?" Even the city lord began to speak crazily. Scram! Those people were talking nonsense as they attacked the people around them. Everyone used all their strength, as if the other party was their enemy for several lifetimes. Jiang Fei and the Eternal New City's city lord were engaged in a fierce battle. Those elemental paragons who could not withstand the shockwaves from the battle between the high-level divine kings were all killed. When the shockwaves came into contact with the defense array, they were all blocked outside. The Zhuo family members who were inside did not feel anything at all. These people are too weak. They're all finished so quickly. Sima Yue looked at the fallen bodies and said calmly. The Zhuo family members looked at her calmly. How did she look like someone who could kill a divine king? Zhuo Yang thought about how he had always been against her, and his palms were sweating. He did not expect her to be a respected array formation master. If he had known, he would not have dared to disrespect her. However, now that things had happened, what should he do if she held a grudge? He looked at her carefully, afraid that she would hold a grudge and throw him out. Yue, what's wrong with them? Why are they suddenly killing each other? Zhuoma asked. I set up an illusion array outside. Once the illusion array is activated, they will be hallucinating. They will not recognize the people around them, and will only treat them as enemies. At the same time, they will express their inner thoughts. Sima Yue explained. But isn't this a defense array? Zhuoma did not understand. She had never seen a defense array that could be used as an illusion array. Sima Yue explained patiently. I didn't just set up a defense array at the start. Later on, I set up an illusion array. The two arrays overlapped. It can be considered an array within an array. Zhuoma stared at Sima Yue in shock. She did not know what an array within an array was, but she knew that it was very powerful. Usually, it was not bad for an array formation master to set up an array. She could actually set up an array within an array. How high was her array formation mastery? The divine kings should still be fighting for a while. Everyone should go and rest. After she finished speaking, she returned to her seat and continued to meditate to recover from her injuries. The Zhuo family members looked at her calm expression, and then looked at the battle outside. They all shuddered. However, they were all thankful that Sima Yue was with them. Otherwise, they would have all died here tonight. They looked at the battle outside and realized that no matter how they moved, they could not leave the outermost layer of light. They could only fight inside. In other words, they could not leave at all. They could only fight their way out of the array formation. Seeing this, everyone looked at Sima Yue with fear in their eyes. She was really ruthless. These people came to kill them, but she did not even move. Instead, she killed them all. Most of the night passed, and the sky was already turning white. Sima Yue only opened her eyes now. He's the one who survived? I thought it would be the one from the Jiang family who survived. She looked at the Yongxin city's city lord who was lying on the ground, panting. He was missing an arm, and the meridians in his legs were severed. His flesh was also cut open. He was about as strong as Jiang Fei. He was lucky to be able to win against Jiang Fei and survive. When he was the only one left in the array formation, the illusion array's effect disappeared. Only then did he see the blood and body parts on the ground. He looked at Sima Yue with fear in his eyes. She was a demon. The Zhuo family members who had watched from the beginning to the end were deeply shocked and afraid. Sima Yue stood up and walked over. She kept the array formation stone, and the illusion array disappeared. Master, these people? Zhuo Ran looked at Sima Yue and asked. He had changed the way he addressed her. Since they are here to deal with you, you can do whatever you want. I don't think you want the Jiang family to know about what happened today, right? Sima Yue said. Her body was not fully recovered yet. She did not want to care about these things. Zhuo Ran nodded and said, The few of you clean up these bodies and blood. Yes, master. Sima Yue went to the nearby river to wash up. When she returned, the Zhuo family had already cleaned up the scene. When they saw her return, everyone froze. Chapter 433. Sima Yue noticed their strange behavior, but did not take it to heart. In the primordial lands, everyone admired and feared array masters, not to mention that he had shown them the power of an array master last night. That kind of impact was something they would never forget for the rest of their lives. Master. The Zhuo family members greeted her stiffly. They were a little scared when they saw Sima Yue, but more than that, they felt awkward. Previously, they had been gossiping about her. Unexpectedly, she had saved their lives at the critical moment. Sima Yue frowned and said, Don't call me master, just call me Yue. He wasn't used to being called master. The Zhou family members did not show any signs of flattery. Instead, they were more embarrassed and embarrassed. This showed that they were not bad people. If they had tried to flatter her, she might have left by now. Moreover, Zhuoma had been taking good care of him these past few days, so he could forget about the unhappiness from before. Yue, are you done washing up? Zhuoma said with a smile. Sima Yue nodded and asked, is the Jiang family far from here? It's a bit far. If we take a flying beast, it'll take about a day, Zhuoran replied. Why don't you guys ride the flying beasts? Sima Yue asked. The Zhuo family members were a little embarrassed. We don't have any flying beasts. It was only then that Sima Yue remembered that this was already the primordial lands. In this place, not everyone had contracted beasts. This was because those spirit beasts valued their bloodlines very much, and would not allow their clansmen to become contracted beasts of humans. Now that he thought about it, in the primordial lands, one couldn't fly in the air, contract spiritual beasts, or use teleportation arrays unless one was above the divine sect level. These were even more inconvenient than the lower realms. How far are we from your family? She asked. Based on our current speed, we'll arrive in less than half a month, Zhuoran replied. Although Sima Yue was not in a hurry, she did not want to waste time on traveling. But she couldn't contact Little Peng right now, so she had no way of calling them out. It would be great if we could find a means of transportation, Sima Yue said. If not, we can find a flying beast. Big. Yue, you can't say these words so casually. If the spirit beasts hear it, it will attract trouble, Zhuoran said. As long as the spirit beast is willing, it doesn't matter, Sima Yue said. Are there any flying beasts here? Yes, Zhuoma said. I remember that there is a Luan bird a few mountains ahead. It is a sacred beast. Let's go and take a look, Sima Yue said with her eyes shining. All right, I'll take you there. Zhuoma was also a little excited. If they could really find a flying beast to ride on, it would be much safer and faster for them to return. Zhuoran wanted to stop them, but when he saw Sima Yue's confident expression, and remembered that she had the same expression last night, he swallowed his words. It would be nice to have a flying beast as a means of transportation. Hence, they packed up their things and rushed towards the Luan bird's location. In the afternoon, they arrived at the mountain where the Luan bird was. From afar, they could see the huge nest in the middle of the cliff. It's there. Zhuoma pointed at the nest and said, the last time we passed by here, we saw the Luan bird. Sima Yue looked over and realized that the Luan bird was not in the nest. It must have gone out to look for food. Zhuoma, do you want a Luan bird to be your flying beast? Seeing Zhuoma looking at the nest with a yearning expression, Sima Yue asked. Of course I want to, but if I want to contract it, I have to tame it first. We have very few beast tamers here. There are not even 2 beast tamers in the entire Heavenly Tiger Ridge. Zhuoma said sadly. Sima Yue rubbed her nose. In the primordial lands, beast tamers were a special profession. Although they had a high status in the human world, they were few in number. This was because the spirit beasts hated beast tamers. Becoming a beast tamer was a dangerous thing. If I tame it, do you want it? She turned her head and looked at Zhuoma. Zhuoma was stunned and said, yes. Then let's wait here, Sima Yue said. She then looked at Zhuoran and asked, how high is that Luan bird? Can you subdue it? No, Zhuoran said. That's a second-rank sacred beast. Sacred beasts, 1 rank and 2 ranks of sacred beasts were equivalent in strength. Moreover, because their bodies were stronger, their battle prowess was stronger. A second-rank sacred beast's strength was equivalent to a high-level divine king. If it had reached the late stage of the second rank, its strength would be equivalent to a low-level divine overlord. Zhuoran was only a low-level divine king. Naturally, he was not a match for this Luan bird. Sima Yue thought for a while and said, I'll go down for a while. You guys wait for me here. After speaking, she quickly ran towards the opposite cliff. Looking at her speed, it seemed like her body had almost recovered. When she reached the bottom of the cliff, everyone saw her casually throw a few things. Then she walked around the bottom of the cliff and came back. Is this enough? Zhuoma looked at Sima Yue with uncertainty. It's enough, Sima Yue said confidently. Today I'll gift you a Luan bird. All right. Zhuoma looked at Sima Yue and smiled shyly. They waited on the opposite mountain for more than an hour before the Luan bird came back. After circling in the air once, it flew back to its nest. It's not a pure-blooded Luan bird, Sima Yue commented after seeing the Luan bird. She had met a real pure-blooded Luan bird in her previous life. Compared to this one, it looked much more noble. Oh, the taste should also be much more delicious. And this bird only had a little of the Luan bird's bloodline, so it looked similar to a Luan bird. This bird's bloodline was not pure, but it could still become a sacred beast. This meant that its innate talent was not bad. When the Luan bird landed on the nest, the array below was immediately activated. The Luan bird was immediately trapped in the array. The sudden change caused the Luan bird to panic, but it quickly calmed down. Seeing Sima Yue and the rest coming out from the opposite mountain, it said, "Is this your doing?" When it came back, it felt the presence of humans on the opposite mountain. It did not expect them to dare to scheme against it. Sima Yue walked over. Seeing its ferocious look, she was not afraid and said, "It's our doing. I'm going to tear you apart." The Luan bird flapped its wings and wanted to rush over, but found itself trapped in the array. "It's no use. My array can even trap a high-ranking divine overlord. Not to mention a level 2 sacred beast like you," Sima Yue said. "What do you want?" The Luan bird stared at Sima Yue with red eyes. "We don't want to do anything," Sima Yue said with a smile. "We just want you to be our flying beast." The Zhou family could not help but frown at her words. She wanted the Luan bird to be her flying beast. And she still said that she did not want to do anything? Chapter 434. The Luan was enraged by Sima Yue's words, but no matter how hard it tried, it was unable to break out of the array. "Don't waste your energy." Sima Yue jumped onto a large rock and said, "If you didn't return to your bird's nest, you might have been able to avoid my array. However, you clearly knew that someone had come, yet you still ignored it. Your conceit has become your fatal killer." The Luan exuded a cold aura and looked at Sima Yue with murderous intent. She was right. When he came back, he smelled the scent of humans. However, he relied on his high strength and didn't put them in his eyes. He didn't even check to see if there was any danger. "What do you want?" It tried a few times, but it found that it was useless, so it stopped. "I said I want you," Sima Yue said. "Be her contracted beast." "No." The Luan firmly refused. "You only have 2 choices. Choose her or die," Sima Yue said. "Then I choose death," the Luan said without hesitation. "All right, I'll fulfill your wish." Sima Yue did not try to persuade him. Instead, she sent a stream of spirit energy towards the array, and a wisp of Qi Yan's flame into it. When the Luan saw crimson flames, its eyes were filled with fear. The temperature of the flames, the aura, it was definitely that person. It wanted to say something, but the flames wrapped around it. The scorching temperature made it feel the aura of death, and the fear of death spread out from its heart. It lowered its head and saw that its feet and wings were burned to ashes by the flames. Then, the flames quickly approached its heart and head. Ah! Before the flames engulfed it completely, regret flashed through its heart. Why did it insist on choosing death? At this moment, it finally understood that being alive was more important than anything else. Even becoming a contract beast was better than dying. The last bit of its consciousness was swallowed up, and the Luan bird finally touched the aura of death. Everything returned to darkness. Bang! The Luan bird fell from its nest and landed heavily on the ground. It opened its eyes, which were filled with confusion. Wasn't it burned to ashes by the flames? How did he come back to life? Sima Yue walked to the edge of the array and looked at its puzzled expression, saying, "Are you curious about how you came back to life? What did you do?" Luan Yao looked at Sima Yue cautiously. "It's nothing. I just let you experience death in the illusion," Sima Yue said. "Although it's an illusion, I think your feelings are still very real, right? How does death taste? Do you still want to die? If you still insist, I won't be in an illusion this time. She played with the flame in her hand, her eyes smiling, but the wand felt as if it had fallen into an ice cellar. It knew that Sima Yue was not joking this time, and she would not give it a second chance. Death or being contracted? It was in a dilemma, but when it saw the flame in Sima Yue's hand, the feeling of death struck its heart again. I surrender. In the end, it was defeated by the illusion just now. It did not want to experience that kind of fear again. All right. Sima Yue kept the flame, saying, Then come over here, I'll tame you. Luan Niao stood up and walked over, placing its head at the edge of the array. Sima Yue reached out and placed her hand on its forehead. She used the little spiritual energy in her body and began to tame it. Although Luan Niao surrendered, it was still unwilling, so Sima Yue had a hard time taming it. Of course, most of the reason why she was willing was because she had not fully recovered. Fortunately, her spiritual energy was strong. She used it to invade Luan Niao's brain and fought with it. In the end, Luan Niao was defeated. After its spiritual energy was defeated, Sima Yue had a much easier time taming it. Half a day later, Sima Yue retracted her hand. With a wave of her hand, she kept the array stones and the array was broken. She turned her head and looked at Zhuo Ma, saying, Let's form the contract. When the Zhuo family saw Luan Niao being tamed, they were stunned. It took a long time for them to regain their senses. They did not dare to speak. They did not even dare to breathe, afraid that they would disturb her training. She moved to the side, and they saw that Luan Niao had been completely tamed. Its previously violent eyes were now filled with confusion. Zhuo Ma shouted and ran over. It looked at Luan Niao excitedly, then looked at Sima Yue, saying, You're really giving this to me? Sima Yue nodded. Oh Yue, you're too amazing. You're actually a beast tamer. Zhuo Ma shouted excitedly. Quickly form the contract. Once it's done, we can continue on our way. Sima Yue urged. Yes, yes. Zhuo Ma nodded vigorously. It turned to look at its father. Seeing him nod, it turned around and placed her hand on Luan Niao's forehead to form the contract. Very quickly, the contract formation enveloped both of them. It then flashed into the space between their eyebrows. When the Zhuo family saw that the contract was successful, they wanted to talk to Zhuo Ma. However, after taking 2 steps, they saw her and Luan Niao being enveloped by the light of advancement. It actually advanced. Young Miss and her contracted beast advanced at the same time. Is this the effect of the contract? But I've never seen anyone advance after forming a contract. This young Master Sima is too amazing. That's right. Not only is he an array master, but he's also a beast tamer. I don't know what kind of beast taming method he uses. He can actually advance after forming a contract. Young Miss contracted beast was originally a level 2 sacred beast. Now that it has advanced to a level 3 sacred beast, wouldn't its strength be on par with a divine sect? Then it's now the strongest in our family. That's right. With it, why would we need to be afraid of the Jiang family? That's great. As the family members discussed excitedly, Zhuo Ran found it hard to calm down. It could be said that their family's fate had changed in an instant. He looked at Sima Yue gratefully. If he hadn't saved her in the desert, they probably wouldn't have changed so much. Saving her was the best thing they had done in all these years. Very quickly, Zhuo Ma and the Luan Niao's advancement ended. Zhuo Ma was so excited that it jumped up. The Luan Niao was also unable to control itself. Thank you, Yue. Zhuo Ma happily expressed its gratitude to her. You saved me. Sima Yue calmly replied. If she hadn't insisted on saving it, it wouldn't have repaid her today. I still have to thank you. Zhuo Ma said. Yue, since you can tame beasts, then can you help us tame a few more? If the family members could have more contracted beasts, then wouldn't they be even stronger? When the Zhuo family members heard Zhuo Ma's words, they nervously held their breaths. Sima Yue hesitated for a moment, then nodded and said, Sure. You'll be responsible for bringing them back. Chapter 435. Great. Thank you, Yue. Zhuo Ma looked at Sima Yue gratefully. Don't worry, we will reward you. They knew that it was expensive for a beast tamer to tame a spirit beast, but even if they had to sell everything they had, They still wanted to increase their family's strength. Sima Yue did not say anything. She did not care about the reward either. The main reason why she agreed to their request was because when she first tamed the beast, she realized that the feedback from taming the beast could help her recover her spiritual energy. Although it was only a little, it was still possible to accumulate it. Anything below level 4 sacred beasts is fine. The higher you can catch, the more powerful the spirit beasts you'll get. Sima Yue said. I'm too lazy to go, I'll wait for you here. Alright, let's go catch it. Zhuoma smiled and said. With the Luan here, are you afraid that we won't be able to catch it? She smiled as she climbed onto the back of the Luan bird. She called out to her clansmen to get on as well. Then they flew into the mountains. Sima Yue sat down on a big rock under the nest. There was the aura of the Luan here, so normal spirit beasts would not dare to come here. Yu, I've finally contacted you. Are you alright? Little Roar's voice sounded, both excited and worried. I'm fine. Sima Yue smiled and said, how is everyone? We're all fine. It's just that we couldn't contact you. Everyone was worried to death. Little Roar said. What happened? When I was in the void, I encountered some people fighting. The spatial passageway collapsed, and I was injured by the void power. That's why I lost contact with the spirit pagoda and the spatial ring. Sima Yue said. But it's already recovering now. The space ring can be opened, and I believe that the spirit pagoda will recover soon. You'll be able to come out then. That's good, Little Roar said. Yu, where are you now? It landed in the periphery. I don't know where it is now. Sima Yue had a headache thinking about this. Once Little Roar heard that they had landed in the outer perimeter, he immediately cried out. Outer perimeter? It's very difficult for people from the outer regions to enter the central regions. How do you get to the Divine Devil Valley? Sima Yue said helplessly. I don't know. I've never been to the outer regions before. I'll ask around when we get to a bigger place. We can only do this. Little Roar said. Tell them not to worry, they will be out in a while. Sima Yue said. All right. Sima Yue and Little Roar kept chatting until Zhuoma and the others returned. Yu, we've caught 3 spiritual beasts this time. 2 of them are rank 1 sacred beasts and 1 is a rank 9 divine beast. Zhuoma said. You've just tamed a sacred beast. We'll bring these back and wait for you to recover your spiritual energy before taming them, alright? Sima Yue looked at the 3 spirit beasts. They were not spirit beasts that lived in groups. If they did, they would not dare to touch them. Let's tame it here. She stood up and walked over. Here? Don't you need to rest? Zhuoma said. No need. Sima Yue saw that the 3 spirit beasts had already lost their ability to move. It seemed like the Luan bird was venting its anger on these spirit beasts. You can leave them here and continue to catch them, Sima Yue said. In 2 days you can catch as many as you can. Is that really possible? Zhuoma asked in disbelief. Sima Yue nodded. But we don't have that much money to pay for it, Zhuoran said. They were naturally happy that Sima Yue was willing to help them tame spirit beasts. Usually, even if a beast tamer begged, they would not be able to get one. However, they knew that taming a spirit beast was expensive. If Sima Yue helped them tame a few, they would still be able to pay for it. But if it was more, where would they find that much money? That's right. We don't have that much money these past few years. Zhuoma also thought of the predicament at home and scratched its face in embarrassment. 1,000 middle-grade crystal stones. Sima Yue said. You only have 2 days. 1,000 middle-grade crystal stones. This price stunned the Zhuo clan. However, they quickly recovered and excitedly went to catch the spirit beasts. Taming 1 spirit beast was only 1,000 middle-grade crystal stones. Even if they caught 10, it would only be 10,000. 100 of them would only be 100,000 middle-grade crystal stones. In the past, the Jiang clan had hired a beast tamer out of nowhere and tamed 1 spirit beast for 20,000 middle-grade crystal stones. Sima Yue, compared to that, it was simply too cheap. Sima Yue watched the Zhuo clan leave, and her gaze fell on the 3 spirit beasts. She walked over and started to tame them one by one. In these 2 days, the Zhuo clan had sent back several spirit beasts and sacred beasts. Every time they came back, Sima Yue would tame them without stopping for a moment. They were all worried that she would not be able to handle it. In these 2 days, they had caught a total of 15 spirit beasts. Sima Yue spent 3 to 4 days to tame all of them. This time, those who could come along were the more important people in the clan. The Zhuo clan left 4 for the rest of the clan, and the rest for the people present. After Sima Yue finished taming the spirit beasts, she told Zhuoma that she wanted to go into closed-door cultivation for 2 days. Zhuoma immediately said that she would protect her. She thought about it and agreed. After all, this place was not completely safe. She set up an array under the bird's nest, and then went into closed-door cultivation. The Zhuo clan had obtained the spirit beasts, and wanted to go into the mountains to see if they could find any resources. Zhuo Ran and Zhuoma stayed behind to protect Sima Yue. Looking at Sima Yue who was cultivating in the array, Zhuo Ran could not help but sigh. His daughter was right. However, seeing Zhuoma's expression, he sighed and said, "Child, he is not a fish in a pond. It is impossible for him to stay here." Zhuoma's expression stiffened and said, "Father, I understand." "It's good that you understand." Zhuo Ran looked at his daughter with a pained expression. She had always had high standards. Now that she had finally taken a liking to a man, this was the result. Zhuo Ran looked at Sima Yue's figure in a daze. A few days ago, when she saw Sima Yue open her eyes, she knew that she was a person with a story. It was impossible for her to stay here and live. However, this did not affect her feelings. However, if she knew that Sima Yue was a girl, she wondered if she would still be so insistent. These few days, Sima Yue's body had been recovering. Coupled with the feedback from taming the spirit beasts, she felt that the force that had been shackling the spirit pool since she woke up was loosening. This time, she planned to completely break the shackles and recover her spirit energy. Gotcha! After thousands of attacks, the shackles were finally broken. She could even hear the sound of the shackles breaking. The spirit energy was freed and quickly circulated in her body. She regained control of her strength. Ugh! She let out a comfortable sigh and opened her eyes. Her gaze was like a torch. Chapter 436. Zhuo Ran and Zhuoma were shocked by Sima Yue's aura. That aura was definitely not something an ordinary person could possess. Sima Yue sensed the power in her body, and guided the spiritual power to circulate in her body again. When she opened her eyes again, her aura was restrained and she gave off the same feeling as before. She exhaled a mouthful of turbid air, got down from the rock, and opened the defense array. "Yue, have your injuries healed?" Zhuoma asked. "Yeah, it's almost healed. Just a little bit more, and it will take some time," Sima Yue said. "Congratulations." "Thank you. Since you've recovered, let's call them back and prepare to head back," Zhuo Ran said. Seeing that Sima Yue did not object, he took out a signal flare and shot it into the air. Not long after, the Zhuo family returned. This time, not only did they kill an important figure of the Jiang family, but they also obtained so many contract beasts. It could be said that they had gained a lot. It could be said that they were now the strongest in the Heavenly Tiger Ridge other than the Heavenly Tiger Hall. They sat on the back of the Luan bird and flew in the direction of the Zhuo family. Sima Yue felt the wind blowing against her face and sighed that it was faster and more comfortable this way. A journey that would have taken half a month was completed in just 2 days. Seeing them return on their flying beasts, the Zhuo family members all ran out to watch the show. "Wow, it's really a flying beast. Look at how beautiful it is. And it's a sacred beast. Why did Patriarch and the others come back on a flying beast? Look, it has landed on Mrs.'s shoulder. Heavens, is that Mrs.'s contracted beast? How could Miss have a sacred beast contract beast?" The Patriarch even brought a stranger back. From the looks of it, the Patriarch is very respectful to her. Could she be someone from the Heavenly Tiger Hall? Zhuo Xiao led the group out, and the clansmen all made way for them. "Big brother, why are you back so early? How was the journey?" Zhuo Xiao looked at Zhuo Ran and the others, surprised that they had returned early. "We're fine." Zhuo Ran nodded at Zhuo Xiao. Then the Jiang family. The Jiang clan had received the news and knew that they had gone to dig for ores. How could they not interfere halfway? The Jiang clan has indeed sent someone over, and the one leading them is Jiang Fei. Zhuoran said. They even called Evernew City's city lord. Zhuo Xiao was startled and said, 2 high-level divine kings? Then how did you escape? I'll tell you later, Zhuoran said, then turned to the side and said, This is Yue. She'll be staying with us for a while. Yue, this is my third brother Zhuoyang's father. Zhuo Xiao looked at Zhuoran and knew that this person's identity was definitely not simple. She respectfully bowed to her. Sima Yue nodded at him. Zhuoma, we've been on the road for 2 days. Bring Yue to Shangyuan to rest. Zhuoran instructed. Yes, father. Zhuoma said. Yue, let me take you to rest. Then Yue will take her leave first. Sima Yue finished speaking and followed Zhuoma into the Zhuo clan. Seeing Sima Yue and Zhuoma leave, Zhuo Xiao looked suspiciously at his elder brother and asked, Elder brother, what is Yue's identity? You actually let her stay in Shangyuan. That's a place that only the most respected people can stay. If you don't have a good reason, those elders in the clan won't be able to say anything. Since I let her stay there, she naturally has the right. Zhuoran said. Did you see that bird on Zhuoma's shoulder? Is that the flying beast that you came back on? Zhuo Xiao asked. When he came out, he heard that they came back on a flying beast. It should be that one. That's right, that's a level 3 sacred beast. It's Zhuoma's contracted beast now. Zhuoran said, shocking the Zhuo clan. They had already guessed that it was Zhuoma's contracted beast, but they didn't expect it to be a level 3 sacred beast. A level 3 sacred beast, that was in existence comparable to a divine sect. Their entire clan didn't have anyone with that kind of power. Could it be that you're saying? Zhuo Xiao sucked in a breath and guessed Sima Yue's identity. That's right, she's a beast tamer. Zhuoran said. Not only did she tame a sacred beast for Zhuoma, she also tamed close to 20 spirit beasts for our clan. Really? Zhuo Xiao and the clan elders who had just arrived all cried out. Of course it's true. Zhuoran smiled and said, Call out your contracted beasts. Yes, Patriarch. The clan disciples all called out their contracted beasts, and the lineup gave everyone a fright. They're all sacred beasts and level 9 divine beasts. The Zhuo clan great elder cried out. Not only that, look behind. Zhuoran waved his hand, and the clan disciples dodged to the side. Behind them were 4 cages containing 4 sacred beasts. These are. The second elder looked excitedly at the tamed sacred beasts. He guessed that they were prepared for them, but he couldn't believe it. These were tamed by Yue. We kept them for you. Zhuoran said. To tame so many spirit beasts, how much did you pay her? The third elder felt the pinch. Wouldn't the entire Zhuo clan be emptied to the cost of taming these spirit beasts? 1,000 middle-grade crystals each. Zhuoran said. Only 1,000 middle-grade crystals? Zhuo Xiao said in surprise. That's not much even if you add them all up. Why would she be willing to tame them for us? Because we saved her in the desert. Zhuoran said. He told them how he had met Sima Yu and what he had experienced over the past few days. The Zhuo clansmen were stunned as they listened. She's also an array master? Yes, if it wasn't for her, we would have been killed by Jiang Fei outside Yongnu City. Zhuoyang said. Speaking of that night, they still had some lingering fear. The scene of the divine kings killing each other was too shocking. She's both an array master and a beast tamer. She's also a great benefactor to the Zhuo clan. So she's worthy of living in the upper court. Zhuoran said. Now that our clan's strength has increased by a lot, third brother, the 3 elders, you should go and contract the spirit beasts first. There will be a surprise waiting for you. Zhuoran said. All right, we'll go and contract them first. The first elder said. All right, Yue likes to be quiet. Tell everyone not to disturb her. Zhuoran ordered. Yes, master. When Sima Yue arrived at the upper court, she could feel that it was not a place for ordinary people to live. The things here were obviously better than outside. Zhuoma could see that she wanted to be alone, so it left. Sima Yue closed the door, then took out a drop of soul fluid, and began to cultivate. Because of the changes brought by Sima Yue, the Zhuo clan was full of joy. However, everyone remembered that Sima Yue did not like to be noisy. Only the upper court was quiet. Sima Yue went into seclusion for 3 days. When she came out, an uninvited guest came to the Zhua clan. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.